Great. Okay, let's see if we get 16 people. That's a lot. That's pretty good. I'm just gonna fire it up, make sure it's working. I'll go to the washroom. Okay, great. So all I need is really this guy.
Sorry.
It's okay, no.
So what's speaking? Air Canada client.
Do you have the mouse?
Yeah, it's actually here, wireless. And then when you need sound, it's already on there, so you can just minimize.
It'll be built into the video, so
It's-
all I really want to do is just see if it works when I do this. So do you know how to get rid of that bottom thing that says?
I can't, that's our recording tab.
Oh, okay.
It won't, that's minimized, like that's how it will
So
show.
right now, if I go next, there's no sound. Perfect.
Is it going? It's talking?
It is now. There you go. No. That's someone else's sound.
That's not yours?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We're good.
Right?
Yep.
So you can go ahead, right?
Okay.
It'll give you some of that, hear it?
What feedback?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So when you're doing the video, because it does that, I'm gonna have to keep on talking, put the video back on. Okay,
Once
let's,
you turn that mic off, I don't need to know what's what we're all doing.
well, the mic is for the broadcast. Do you hear it now?
Really?
Yeah. How you,
Test. Much better.
right, doing it, yeah,
Like that.
perfect. So what we've got to do is lower the volume down, and then when you need the video,
Yeah.
you just come right here, see this one?
Yeah.
And you put it on, okay?
And
Now
turn
we're
it
gonna
back
keep
down.
it down, yeah.
So if you have it off to that volume, it doesn't affect.
It doesn't affect it.
That's why there's a cross.
Hi.
Good, good.
Yeah. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you doing? I'm good, have a seat. Sorry, what's your last name again?
R-A-E-I, right.
Here you are. Okay. Sorry? So AAA buyer means a pre-qualified buyer, no issues with financing, When they mean AAA, ultimately it's someone that is willing to understand the price that's being offered, but overall can afford it with no, it's a way of advertising. Really, we could all potentially be AAA buyers if you're priced right and I have my financing. Okay. So even if your client is, what could be AAA for you is not AAA for another realtor. It's just a really awkward and, let's say, unusual way to advertise what you're trying to do. A lot of people say AAA because they want their, they want to launch it as exclusive, like they're doing something, they're offering something that's exclusive. They're offering me a property that's unique and they can only afford a good buyer. Right? So
it's somehow advertising the buyer.
Right. And no, it's advertising the property for the buyer. Like, unless you're a good buyer, don't approach.
Oh,
right? And it could be,
don't waste my time.
right, it could be a ripple effect. It could be something that's beneficial to you, but at the same time, someone can say, okay, what do you mean by AAA buyer? Will you not budge on price? Will you not do you understand?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Regions,
No worries, anytime.
Thank you.
Are you here for this session of Be Client Centric? Great. Let me give you one of these.
How are you?
Thank you. I'll explain what it is as we get a little closer.
Did you see what Angela got at school?
I did.
Then did you see my husband at Centric Saturday? He brought them on the subway. They ended up in the youth center.
Oh, good.
He said to, not really, he said to me, we took the subway, we thought we were gonna go to Dundas Square, right? He goes, but we ended up all the way in the, yeah, I took them all, you're in the square.
Yeah.
But look at the excitement on my kid's face. Took selfies on the Viva. Look how excited she was. She never took the bus. And then it was like, what'd you do at home? Yeah, she wanted a copy of it, and it's like, did you send me a copy
How
of
you
it?
doing? Have you always been with Royal LePage?
Oh, I'm just in the regions. I'm just
Great.
here for a half.
Did you like it?
Yeah, but it's great.
You came during the coldest time here.
Oh, yeah, but you know, when I
Honestly, like,
I'm watching that
like,
some
anything,
agents are here that they are just came from other
Don't go
price
there.
ranges.
I don't know.
It's somehow.
So it
Yes.
makes perfect sense.
Informative record,
Here.
yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to thank you.
No, thank you. We're always gonna get late arrivals, so keep that in mind.
Doesn't bother me at all. Let's open it up. Never to realtors.
Never? I'm sure you get used to it.
Sorry.
Realtors are always late.
Oh,
Hello,
I
how are
already knew
you?
that. You think I didn't know that part?
Always late, always late.
Which we gotta try to fix that.
Right, eventually.
Well, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see what this has to do.
Me, because like, hi. I work as well, so it's like,
Are you sitting in? Your time's too bad.
no, not valuable. I would love to sit. I always watch, I watch the courses afterwards.
I actually wanted to come to see you before because when I first came with Vivian, the whole concept of our whole meeting was that we would almost see if it would work to collaborate and see if it's a missing part of the school and what the content would be to make sure it's right. Okay, you're on Tuesday on the 5th. This is it. This is how you test the market.
Right, well, that's ultimately what you're gonna do, right? 'Cause
Right now, right
That's,
here, yeah,
that's the whole goal. Test it out, you see the, you feel the feedback.
for sure.
If it works, it works.
If it doesn't, you adjust or you go to something else the next
Right,
week.
but we could definitely, you
How
know,
are you? Don't stop eating. Don't stop eating.
don't worry, we're just waiting.
The
for
time is
arrivals.
valuable. Don't stop eating. Not at all. I'm gonna explain this.
Hello,
in a
hello,
minute,
I guess
okay?
everyone's wrapping up lunch, eh?
Looks like it, eh?
Hello.
And then,
How's it going today?
we good?
yourself?
It's going great. Were you just in the last course?
No.
That's for newly licensed realtors.
That one was for newly licensed?
Yeah.
So he had a specific target. Perfect.
Well, when new realtors join the company,
I
they
guess they
have,
got mandatory.
it's a mandatory
to new
session,
education
yeah.
stuff. I'm gonna explain this in a couple of minutes, guys.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
we're just gonna wait for others.
there's a
Starts at
pen
1, so
that's
go.
on there. I just wanna let you know the pen has a couple of functions. One is it's a highlighter.
I have it too,
The other one,
is a pen.
did you?
One
I
is-
dropped the
You
kid on
dropped
your
off the kid
desk.
on my desk,
So now you know
right,
Hey.
because I was like.
where
okay,
did
who
this
is it?
come
Because
from?
I knew Steve, but I didn't know what.
You were
sort
with
of-
Vivian, you were busy that day.
Right.
So I just said, I'm not gonna not keep it, so I'll leave it. It's a pen, obviously, hopefully, not like heels, right guys? It's a stylus for your device, and it's the highlighter. Okay, so it's
It's actually
multifunctional,
good, I use it.
just like WatchTod is. What the hell is WatchTod?
I had a lot
We're
of
about to
classes.
find out.
Well, I put it in the calendar and everything. I got that too.
Yeah, you got all the stuff.
I
you're
got
taking
all
out?
the stuff. I got
Actually, put them in a.
I
car
got the
that you know. Put 'em in a
Band-Aids,
car.
I got it all.
You got more than what most people get. I was
Oh,
trying to give this up
thank
to you.
you. It doesn't?
It
Do
should.
you have a cover?
Yeah,
That one.
Yeah, it depends how thick
Yeah,
or the cover
Very,
itself
very,
could.
very-
Yeah,
Right.
so even other devices like.
I had it on my old phone cover and
Ah,
it was,
a little pushy goes a
it was
long way.
hard to use these, right? But in Marty on
Oh, yeah.
Christmas, she bought me
Perfect.
gloves that have.
Now you know what?
stylus. And so with my new phone, I didn't put a cover. I have the external one. The screen, it won't crack even if it falls. But I have the gloves with the stylus.
Hey, can I get one picture for social media and then I won't have to think
Absolutely.
about it? I'll
Or
just,
you can actually, you know what?
what?
Where do you want to stand?
Anywhere you want, I take it and then I start my thing.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what?
Hello, how are you? Always look at me.
Welcome to the real estate world.
No, it's not just the real estate. Well, actually, most people are. Right.
You know what? You
Whatever.
can also take a selfie with the group at the end.
Yeah, it's up to them. I don't want to bother you too much.
Okay.
Just hit me once and then
Yeah.
you're good, yeah. Because I'll
Okay.
get killed if I don't bring home something, right?
Yeah.
So here.
Usually, hold up, I'll take it from there.
Private assistant.
Hi.
It's all social media, right? I hope you guys are into technology a bit.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, ready?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And then we'll take a group one, okay?
If everybody's into it, yeah.
Right?
Who else just joined us?
Uh,
Thanks. People walking in, come here. Okay, we gotta get started, guys, soon, because it's already that time. If somebody walks in, hopefully they have the foresight to grab one of these. If they see everybody else has one, yeah. All right. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start in about 3 minutes. Are you guys okay? You can eat, no problem. I'm talking. Yeah, you okay to start in about 2 minutes? Okay. The kit that you guys have in front of you today has got a few things in it.
Feeds away.
Great, how are
Yes,
you?
thank you.
Thanks for just
Hi,
dropping
I'm
in.
great.
You're good either way? Adam, you've only seen it 5 times. You may not have to stay the whole way, okay? But thanks for coming in. Have a seat.
Yeah, we're gonna wait 5 more minutes,
Sure.
Steve, and then we'll start.
Sure,
because
sure,
then
sure, sure.
It's best.
I have no one behind me, right? So I have a room? There's no one behind me, right?
No,
I didn't see
we have
nothing
no
on the
rush.
schedule.
That's the way when we have mandatory, then it's best that you do your session and you can take your time. Hi, how are you?
Ah, how's it going? Now we have 2 Adams.
Well, you have Adam
You
here.
two, how are you? I'm doing great.
I'm just thinking first, I don't even know what this one is.
Oh, you're gonna find out. It's a little different probably than any other course you've been on. This course is about getting inside the head of the client. It's all about the client's perspective.
You don't know. I was doing-
Why, you were hoping something like this might come? Education clients?
I was doing cold calling. Oh my God.
Oh, cold calling, wow.
You don't
to know how much nonsense.
Okay. So the first time I ever door knocked in my life, I started doing my own area, right? That's usually, it's recommended, you would know your area. So I knocked on the first door and they're like, oh, thank you, gave my business card, they were polite. Second door, literally the third door lady opened and I just like, hi, I'm Celeste Panza from Royal Patriot Community, blah, blah, blah. She looked at me, she goes, you know what, I thought you were my Swiss chalet.
Oh, nice. So they were looking for food, but not a house.
And I was like, whoa, right? That was a huge turn off. The third.
Because I would have.
So then,
You know, that was really rude.
well, no, I started getting cheeky because I thought,
might
oh,
remember
I'm
you
really
next time
bugging.
you
So I
do
went
that.
to the next door. On my way back, I saw the Swiss chalet guy. I felt like saying,
You should have put your card in the meal bag. When
I
they
felt like saying,
oh, this
can I
woman's
bring
everywhere.
it? Can I bring the bag over?
No, you know what? People are calling me back. They have a missed call, and 3 of them they go, who are you? I said, I'm a realtor. I'm working with realtors. Why you are calling us? I said, I'm sorry, it was under color listing. Don't call me anymore. I said, I'm very sorry, but if you want it, you can register, but do not call.
Right.
Listing. No, I told you, if you call me one more time, I'm gonna call your company and sue you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, suing on the grounds of calling once. That might be a tough case to get there.
All right. I'm gonna let you guys proceed, okay?
Centric? Awesome. Hey, good. I just wanted to-
Was it hard to find parking? Yes, right?
It's a
Okay.
mess.
Everybody-
I know.
Something has to happen because I can't even turn anymore. When I go underneath it, I have to turn and it's.
But you are all aware that there is parking behind at the deals office as
Yes.
well. It is, I know it's not underground and your car will get rain, snow, sunshine, whatever, but sometimes if you see that there's a mess in there, just don't fit in even worse because it gets you stuck, right?
Yeah.
I got stuck a few times and now I just park at the deals office. Or really, sometimes it's like I park across the street. Who am I bugging at the end of the day, right? Shouldn't be like that, but unfortunately, we all have to be mindful and respectful. Yeah.
So I think from now on, okay, we buy one of those big signs and say underground parking full. And the girls can go downstairs after a couple of hours, maybe around 11 o'clock. They see it's full, put the sign up. And then nobody else gets in.
They have a fob, right? So with their fob, they can access, they'll get her upset.
Tough crowd, tough crowd.
Okay, but at least people would not go under.
Wait,
And I come
you need
in-
one of these. Stop, you need one of these.
All right, so
Great, how are you?
Brandon,
My name is
I'm just
Steve.
gonna do a quick intro, okay?
Find out in a minute for you.
Actually, you know what? You have no need for an intro, you're amazing.
You're gonna have no need for an
You're in
intro.
for an
No need for an intro. What,
He's good.
biggest mouth in Richmond?
Because everyone will ask me what's watch toward or what does it do?
You're gonna find out very shortly.
Right, and so no shy thoughts here. You can just,
Shy Ronnie. Anybody know Shy Ronnie? Okay.
all right.
Everybody doing good today?
I see what's
Great.
done.
Okay. Thanks very much. I just want to mention a couple quick things. One is the kit that I just handed out has a pen. If you look at the pen, it's got a highlighter on it as well. The pen is obviously a pen. And the other thing it is a stylus for your devices, okay? Ooh, ooh. Okay, so it has three purposes, the pen. It's a pen,
Little bit of attention.
and it's a highlighter. It's a stylus for your devices. Okay, everybody has got the pen.
Yeah.
Okay, let's watch a quick little video just to get us going on some of the stuff that we got here, okay? I'm curious, did you guys just sign up for any course because you just said like it's time to fill to understand or whatever? Or do you guys understand, be client-centric, what the course is kind of even about this one workshop? Does anybody have an idea what this workshop's about at all?
Yeah.
I got a no, I got a yes, got a no, got a yes. Well, you're gonna find out, and if we don't know
Sorry
by,
to interrupt, Steve.
Sure.
You need to read the emails thoroughly.
no, it's
So
good.
this is
I'm
very
good.
descriptive.
Yeah, you think, how many people actually read the
Just
full
on-
email?
Right, on a side.
Tuesday, 1 o'clock.
Okay, I can do it. Okay, well then Steve does the rest.
Okay, so from here, we're just gonna watch a quick little video in regards to just getting kind of like the juices flowing, okay? Okay, be client-centric. The idea typically is to try to get through to people so that we can take the average person who doesn't know us, turn it into a lead, and then we want to convert that lead into a sale to a referral. That's the whole concept about understanding being client-centric. So this is one of the things that legals make us put. It's only in regards to understanding that the information is not advice. Listen to it, think of it carefully. While you're reading this, I'm just going to quickly explain the kit. The kit that I handed out today is like the normal ones you always kind of get, but it's got a cover of this workshop to remind you about what it is that you learned here today. One thing that's really important to me is the feedback sheet that's behind it. We really encourage you to fill out the feedback sheet. We'd love to improve any kind of material that we have. On the right side of it, you have a pad of paper with our branding, allows you to make notes as well, and a full miniature copy of the whole show. If you can't read the detail on it, you're not supposed to. It's there for you to be able to make a note about the slide that we're talking about. Then you'll know where in the actual presentation you have that thought. And if anybody puts the feedback sheet filled out, or even just their business card in this bag at the end, I'm going to send you the complete presentation. You'll get the whole thing in a PDF. If there's any, you take away 2 or 3 great points out of this, I'd be happy and you'd have a copy of it, okay? So let's look at getting started, and I can explain for a quick second about who I am and how I ended up getting here in the first place, which is kind of important. But, you know, we're talking about where's the real estate industry going? Where's it going to be in a couple of years? We talk about where will that leave you guys in one. There's a lot of changes going on right now in the real estate industry, including involving technology. So that's something we're going to want to talk about for sure to be able to keep the human touch in it. So when we talk about being client-centric, and that it's about improving the fact that when I ask general people, and I've spoken to dozens and dozens of agents and hundreds of people, I've helped buy and sell homes for the last 20 years. I'm not an agent, I'm not a broker. One thing I do want to say to you is people don't trust you guys at all. People don't trust you. People have a bad feeling about you. People don't know where to go with you when you knock on the door. You're just another fly in the forest. And we want to actually separate ourselves from that and actually improve on that, because it's very important that we improve on the optics in this industry right now. Just as a quick example, if you're an agent and you've worked with another agent on a transaction and went, oh my God, I would hate that that agent was my agent, then you already know we got a problem. If all the time that you're discussing and working with agents, you hope that that agent doesn't get on your roster later, you don't got to deal with them later, imagine how the client feels. So we already have a problem in that. So being client-centric is really a big deal to me. And here's the reason why. Because without me, without the client, without the person who's going to buy and sell from you, you really have no career at all. Because all you would be doing is buying and selling from each other. There'd be no one to actually approach or do anything with. So what we want to talk about is that how the average person is going to be in accepting you. I started this actual company because I was doing buying and selling for 20, 25 years. I was buying lots of land in Florida when I first started. Then I bought other homes in other places. I had an amazing passion for real estate, but my biggest passion at the time was IT. So I had an IT company with many guys. They were going around fixing servers and workstations, and I was going around cheating at lunch, going to open houses. They thought I was working on a server. I was working on reading how to understand the agreement of purchase and sale. So meanwhile, I figured there's got to be a way to try to put these 2 things together and help the industry get a better optic, because from some of the agents that I dealt with, and I know for a fact we've done 6 or 7 deals, right, in the last 6 or 7 months, I know that when I speak to people by going to Mackenzie Health and doing a talk, or going to Scotiabank and working with them on doing talks to people who don't understand real estate, that one of the biggest things is they're fearful of the agent. They don't get the agent. They don't understand. They don't trust the agent, right? And I think that that's a big problem. But the tipping point for me to actually create this was when I was going through an open home one time. It was in a town row, and there was no way to get in on either side of it. I was walking around doing my normal thing. I walk in, the first thing I do is I put my eyes to the top corner. I follow the corner around. I'm looking for leaks. I'm checking this and that out. I go down to the basement and I see this huge crack in the foundation on the side. It's a row. There's no way to get to the foundation. And I saw that they tipped the couch and they tipped the couch up and they put it against the wall. Well, by the time I was smiling to myself, and then by the time I walked around the other corner, there was a young couple that was in that house, probably maybe in their early 20s. And they were talking about maxing their credit cards out to get the deposits to put down on this house that we're standing in. Let's go make an offer. It's our dream home. Is it your dream home? So the problem with that was, I'm not going to go ruin the sale for the agent. You know, I'd already been doing this for 20 years, in and out of houses. I've already bought and sold a dozen houses. I was not going to do that. And I also realized I probably couldn't save every young couple across the world in one moment. There's only one of me. So what I figured I would do is create some kind of an app to help people understand the process of real estate, but at the same time, create a couple of really amazing workshops. One would be for people to understand what it's like, which is getting into real estate for first and second timers. And the other workshop I would create is called Be Client Centric, to let the agent inside the head of the client. What are they thinking about me when they go up? How can I do better in regards to addressing your speaking in? So we created Watch Todd, and Watch Todd itself is actually an acronym, and it stands for We Are the Client's Homework, Transactional Accountability with Dependability. So Celeste was wondering if we'd all ever understand what Watch Todd is. Now you know it's an acronym, and now you know what it's for. So again, I'm not an agent, I'm not a broker, I'm not here to teach high-level objections, how to close deals, all that. There's all kinds of continuing education courses on that. I highly recommend you look at it. What I am is your typical client. I'm getting you into the head of the person that gives you business. So if you guys want an honest answer about something, you're more than welcome to ask me. I'll give you an honest answer. And trust that you guys will help other people to understand the process. Does anybody have a quick idea? Sure.
So you don't have your license?
No, I don't have a
Buy
license.
and sell real estate.
Only through agents. So I've used a few agents from this brokerage, a few agents from that brokerage. I always believed when I was in IT of using professionals to get the job done right. So I would use lawyers and agents. I didn't want to become an agent. No offense, guys. I did not want to become one of them. I didn't want to do that at the time. So right now, my whole point was that I'd be able to get through to people in a different way for them to understand. So I wanted to work with agents. I love the industry. I'm not saying I won't become one, but I'm definitely not one right now. Yeah. So, how you doing that?
And why do you buy and sell real estate?
Because it's profitable. Because for the last 20 years, when I bought lots and I was really into it, I found it really fascinating. The way that I was able to do that was the fact that I had money from my team. So with the money from my team, I started off slow. I'm not a big force-filled multi-trillionaire. I love the passion. I love the process of it. But that's why I did it, because I was able to do that. So I bought houses and sold in Richmond Hill, in Bradford, in Newmarket, those kinds of places where I've come and gone, bought and sold more than a few homes, okay? Worked with agents for the last 20 years in America, in Canada, dozens of different ones. And what we came up with interviewing all these agents, all these people over the last 3 years was what you're about to see. Like the major common denominators of where people don't understand or don't get what's actually going on. Does that answer your question? It's great, thank you. Thank you. So right now we're talking about that we believe people are just not understanding the real estate world at all. Whether it's got to do with the agencies that are involved right now, with finding out where they are. They have their mandate. Right now we just have a new Northern Provincial Director for OREA. Her name is Kim Cloutier. She's actually a Royal LePage agent, so kudos to her. She made it to where she is now working with the government, right? So that must have been something that she was into. But who really follows that other than you guys? How many people actually know who she is? That is the person that you want to get to, the guy, the person who's going to buy that house from you. They don't really understand that. No one really understands kind of what's going on. RICO is another whole story because they'll just fine you, kick you out, fire you. I personally don't believe that RICO has their act together in regards to teaching agents the right thing or doing remediation. I think they got a long way to go, but they're there as a governing body. And again, all those governing bodies are shaking things up, but people just aren't exactly sure where they're at. So being client-centered is being actually centric itself. Being centric is defined as in or at the center. Being centric is being central. In this case, we're talking about being centrally for your client, being centric for your client. When people don't understand the process, their guard is automatically up, right? So they believe that it'll change the outcome. So an example, do you know why people have a bad reputation towards what they think agents are? Does anybody have an idea why people don't trust agents? No, any idea? You know, why wouldn't someone trust an
Because
agent?
a lot of agents are not honest. They are,
But-
they're not upfront.
Yeah, for sure.
Then their first thing is not caring about the clients, but caring
Yeah.
about their paychecks.
Yeah, so
There are agents like that, unfortunately they are.
yeah, so a few bad apples spoil the whole bunch, right? That concept is the number one overall thing. But one other thing that you might want to know why people are very honest with the agent is because they think they know more than you. They think that if they tell you something, it's going to adversely affect the outcome of their deal, their buy, their sell. If I let that person know there's a crack in the basement, I'm not going to get the house. If I do, just like at that basement crack, I don't know if the agent knew. I don't know if she should have closed it. I don't know, it wasn't disclosed. I know that much. But it's because it's a weird relationship in the beginning. Absolutely, people don't feel that the outcome will be positive if they fill you in on everything. I got to go to BC. I got a job starting in 3 weeks. Oh, they're just going to rate me on the price. They're going to put it right down. They're going to want to put it for next to nothing. So they don't tell you that up front. So I'm telling you right now, people don't tell you everything up front. So we're going to talk about what we can do about that. Okay. So one of those things that we're talking about is that with all the noise out there, the industry RICO, they're working very hard at enforcement, right? But really, the agencies right now are in the middle of redefining their roles. And that's kind of troubling because they're so busy worrying about redefining their roles. We decided we're going to come up with a mission, right? So our mission, thank you, enjoy the pen. Our mission is to better understand the reputation of real estate agents, right? We want to better your reputation. And we want to get it to where, at a minimum, each agent can be represented by who they really are. If you really work hard and someone meets you, that they should understand that. You have so much work to get there, but meanwhile, that's because of the reputation that's behind you, okay? So as an example, when we talk about all these things that we're trying to do, this mission that we're talking about, we got to decide how can we accomplish this mission, right? Well, one way to do this is with tools for the trade, right? So let's talk about tools for the trade. We start off by using tools to stay organized. I think there was a session before this about tools. There's always a session about using CRM, different things like that. Guys, you have tools all the time. Who has a listing presentation package that they worked on that has been formulated and mentally thought through? Who has a listing presentation package when you want to go get someone to list with you? Nobody? No package? Nobody here has a package? You don't even go in with CMA, no comps, nothing?
No, yeah, we do.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
yeah.
So you have a full package you worked on. Can you send it by email? No, okay. So yeah, the typical agent that I've seen thousands of times walks in and goes, hey, do you know what things are going for in your area? Here's a letter about me. That's it. Usually you don't get much else than that. So right now, when we talk about the tools, staying organized, staying informed, who has a buyer's representation package? Good question, eh? Do you? Yeah. Who else has one? I asked him because I knew. Who else has one? A buyer's rep. You want a buyer? It's not completed. You started it. Congratulations for starting it. It's not easy. Starting to think about how we can do better in all aspects, but typically what I'm talking about today is relating it to the client, right? Relating it to the client, but creating tools that aren't there that show who you are, not who the industry is a really great way to start. Who has a pre-qualification package? Well, I know you ask questions like, so you want to buy? Who has a pre-qualification? Anybody? You're not saying that. So you have a pre-qualification package. You guys should think about a pre-qual package, not just questions, something that's going to entice people to see that you're different, you're not the same as everyone else. The question about those packages, are they sent or emailed to clients? You hand it in, right? These are all tools for the agent. Workshops, you have courses, you have continuing education, you have all these amazing ways to hone your skills, right? You're getting organized, you're getting efficient, you have CRMs, you have others. Here's a question. What about tools for your clients? Who gives your clients any tools at all to understand real estate? They can go online. There's a sea of stuff out there that's confusing, or it's actually bullshit, but it's out there, and if they don't know where to go, they could absolutely be reading the wrong thing and getting the wrong outcome. It's when I say R, please take me. I said I'm not an agent. You already know I'm not a broker. When I say R, it's to talk about the inclusivity of people who are selling to clients. That's the job now, man. The job is to get that information out to the client in a unique, distinctive way. How are you doing today? Great, thanks. That's for you. Enjoy the pen. So we're talking. So we talk about tools. What about tools for the client, right? We don't have tools for the client. So, pardon me?
Yeah,
Okay, what tools?
they offer this, .ca, they always go and check, and then we send them all the information, they can go and check all the
Right, so,
comparison and everything.
right, so with what you're talking about, they have tools out there for the client. If the client goes and looks or bothers to even check, just to go on to see what the houses are is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking more about understanding the whole real estate process so they're not as nervous or scared to work with you,
Oh,
right? Anybody can go see where a house is. That's $1,000,
But I
right?
explain that when you take the listing.
That's what we're gonna talk about. Yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna talk about in a minute, okay? So we're talking about tools to help people, right? And in this regard here, it's an idea, that's one tool that's out there, it's like an app, but we're trying to give people a roadmap to the process. It makes it easier for them. The agent becomes more educated with the client. It starts off creating a relationship. So for example, when they don't understand how things work a certain way, you're not gonna want someone to have lime green paint on their walls, right? Or marijuana incense burning when the minister's coming over to look through the house. So it doesn't help, right? So those are the kind of things that we're talking about when we talk about giving them the understanding. So we developed a tool. There's lots of other tools out there. It doesn't have to be used, but when you're helping your client, it's easy to put a package together that says, you should go here, you should look at that. That process itself might have something to do with the steps that it takes to get through the real estate transaction. It might have a vendor's marketplace where they can go to get a painter. No one wants to give a painter away for $10 and ruin their career because the guy never shows up. So we have a place where someone can go that it's off your hands, or you could send them to other places. It doesn't have to be here, but a place where they can maybe look at the forms before they sign them, or example, be able to have a realty newsstand to look at different articles or vetted things. So that's something that we have to understand, that maybe we could give better tools to the client, right? So we're talking about being client-centric, being the center of it. And first off, what I want to say is no one wants to work with these three agents, okay? These three agents, in case you were wondering, is grumpy, confused, and frustrated. And that's sometimes what comes through in our personality when we go to see clients or speak to clients, whether it's because of the way they're acting or because of the way we're acting. These are the kinds of things that happen. And we're trying to build a career of referrals. So we all know that it takes a lot more work and effort to get a new client than a referral, right? That's obvious, the jury knew that. That's a simple thing. So we gotta be careful to pay attention to what it is that we're exactly doing. I've seen agents treat people totally different in the same room just based on the fact that they were represented. But it wasn't like not obvious, it was totally obvious the person, people were insulted. So when you're thinking about getting into the head of the client, you have to think about some of these different situations. You know, you can lose so many pats on the back for doing a great job just based on doing one wrong move. You facilitate one wrong move and your reputation will absolutely go a lot further than you thought, but not in a good way. So it's very important to understand that. Like, emotions are involved here, right, guys? So invest the time in the beginning, as it'll pay itself back to you for sure, quickly. Because of a better educated client who can then refer you and make an easier transaction for the buy and sell, we talk about answering objections like, why is your commission so high, right? You don't earn that money. Anyone can sell their own home, right? FSBOs, right? For sale by owner. The answer is very close. It's in relationships, okay? It's a very important part of how we try to get through the buy and sell and keep clients, make potential clients, and turn clients into referrers. The key part in the end is getting to where someone's referring to you all the time, because that takes away from a lot of the other work. It's very important that we do that. So we're in a weird time right now because of technology, for sure. You know, as technology moves forward, the way people feel about real estate agents needs to change for the better, because there's other technologies out there that are going to try to do the job of what you're doing. Right? The transaction. It's a great example of how the industry is going through change right now. It's being captured online by online sources, and it's being discounted. And for people and for them, it's all about the money. It's nothing but the money. So what we should do is think about who are these people that are trying to jump us or get in. Well, Purple Bricks is one. I don't know if anybody's heard of these. Redfin, Justo is a Canadian one that just opened. And they're seriously not playing games. And Open Door or something. Have anybody here heard of one or any of those? Good. Maybe good? Okay, great. These Has anyone of you guys ever been to their website? Okay, one out of everyone in the room been to Purple Bricks or Redfin. Okay, let's say you had a quick look at it, right? Okay. Well, I'm just gonna give you a little quick word from the Globe and Mail, and then I'm actually gonna show you the site real quick, just by a quick little video, okay? So the Globe and Mail said just not even 3 months ago, Toronto startups look to disrupt the Canadian real estate model. Regan McGee, the chief executive of a startup called Noble, which he describes as a marketplace platform where potential buyers and sellers get bids for service from realtors. They're bidding for your service online. If it was that nobody cared and everybody was scared, that's going to be more successful. So when they talk about it, or actually when Regan McGee talks about it, he says that in recent years, accumulation of antitrust and competition regulations in the United States and Canada have pushed the industry to a tipping point, just like that tipping point when I started. They created an environment where a company like us online could exist. Before now, that's 3 months ago, before now would have been very hard, but this is the way everything's going, right? So we got to think about that. Other Globe headlines are real estate has become the next Uber for tech firms and venture capitalists. So we're gonna have a quick look at what these guys are looking at trying to get into or what they're trying to accomplish. And here's what they kind of look like online, okay? Now, many people in the industry, including people in this building, some other very high profile people, influencers, don't think that this may exactly take off, okay? And there's a reason for that, and we're gonna talk about that in a second, but have a look, right? Everything you'd expect from the real estate agent, except the commission. They're going, yeah, isn't it? But it's actually not perfect. You have a look around. For a fixed rate of $800, how are we gonna buy a car? We have no money, man. Have a look around. Best exposure, save thousands. You think someone would hop right in, right? Why wouldn't I buy my next? I'm doing a purchase right now and I'm doing a sell right now. Waterloo's up. So for sale, but we'll talk. So in that, when you're doing buys and sells, why wouldn't I just go here? I got all kinds of experience in the world. I can walk anybody through the process of buying and selling and saving all kinds of nervous and saving pitfalls and pit holes. Look, they'll tell you how much they'll save you. But when they do that and they talk around the prices that we're talking, $56,000, a lot of money. That's both sides of it. But look, when compared to an average commission of 5%, so at full pop, including the applicable taxes, it includes the HST. I know people who don't even know there's HST on commission until they have to find the money. Don't you think the agent should have let them know? No, because then they're going to think it's even more money. Why would I deal with you when the guy next to me will do it for a little bit less, right? So it's not about the personality. All of a sudden, it only becomes about the money. Well, one of the things why I don't think this is going to work, or it may in a small degree, but not go crazy like that, is there's no real human touch in this at all. If you wanted the full human touch, you'd be out getting back to the 5% again, even with them. If you want to go online and click a few buttons and buy your own home, you could save some money for sure. But you're really not being educated. There's no one out there working really hard for you. All they're doing is posting things online. So this is Redfin. It's an American one, right? 1% listing fee. Is that both sides? Is that one side? Would you guys go and sell a house for 1%? That's what they're doing. So when you look at this, they kind of offer the same thing. So you can now say you've seen Purple Bricks and Redfin officially. This is what the site looks like. And this is how somebody goes through it. So there's a number of online agencies. They're trying to make it appear like it's easy for people to buy online. Many people refute this, as I said, because of the human touch. I'm going to give you a quick example. I bought a house in Wasaga Beach. Not whatever, 45 an hour from here, okay? In that purchase, when I went, I was 10 days away from closing. The purchaser went in for their second walkthrough to see what's going on, and the city inspector showed up from Wasaga. City inspector showed up and was doing an exterior inspection of the home and found a deficiency in the home. They wrote it up and they handed it to the potential person who's going to close in 10 days. Yeah, nightmare for me. I was freaking. I thought they were going to try to back out. So part of what that was there was a deck and in the backyard of the deck, there was a joist hanger that for some reason the builder missed that joist hanger. Everybody know what I mean by that? Okay, the part that supports the wood to hold up the deck. Out of 30 of them, one was missing. But by regulation, you had to write it up. So now that we have a write-up, I'm 10 days away, people are starting to wonder, I called the agent. Called the agent said, oh, yeah, well, that happens all the time. What do you mean? Well, in Wasaga, you may not have known this, but I know this, I'm an agent, I'm local to here. If you have a home that's under 10 years old, and you go to sell that home and it's under 10 years old, the city comes to inspect the exterior of the home. They're looking for deficiencies that work with the way the city plan works, like broken eaves. If you have a broken eaves trough, the water runs the wrong way. If you have a dangerous deck, it's a courtesy to the new buyer that's coming to Simcoe to get that. This is what we do here. We check out the home and the exterior for you. If I would have known that, I would have had that inspection done so that my potential purchaser who's walking through for their second inspection doesn't get handed a deficiency notice, which actually soured the whole thing. Because it's not exactly like the house may not have closed, but now the lawyer's got to get involved. Because now there's another thing to add to the file. Someone's not going to take it over and take your word, you're going to fix the crack foundation. So that is one reason why I believe it'll be hard to get through with this. If we all do our job right, not an agent, if you do your job right, get into the person's face, explain to them the process of the buy and sell, create that relationship. It's an amazing thing. When it works, it's incredible. Well, that agent really helped by being there, because that agent picked up the phone to a local person, had the contractor come out. They said they can't do it for 10 days. Picked up the phone to another contractor. They came out, they put a hanger. The deficiency was removed before we even went for closing. How would Redfin handle that? How would Purple Bricks handle that? You have to know your own. No, you have to know your own contractor, and if you had to go through them and it was a big problem, they do not take it personally in any way. Okay, it's part of another road bump. You're going to find out by using someone that's not an
have
agent.
a real estate license?
They're both.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
You
if
have to
they
in
are,
Ontario,
then something like that, it would go under RICO. RICO would say you did not do your job right.
Who wants to call Rico for a joist hanger?
No, but anything worse than that,
That's the whole
anything
problem.
worse than that.
So anything worse than that, I would have already known about. If I would already known there was an inspection, I would have been on
What
it.
about if you got your house to,
That's why I won't do it.
yeah.
That's the exact reason why I'm not doing that right now in any way, because they just don't have that personal touch. They can't tell me locally what's here. They don't shake my hand, walk me through, show me what's going on, calm my nerves down. Before closing, I'm freaking out what's gonna happen tomorrow on closing day. When do I gotta be out by? When, like I got no one to call in. But if you want to spend all day reading their guides, you might figure some of that out. But it's all on you. Most clients don't even want to pick up the pen, never mind pick up their finger and start checking stuff out. That's what I pay them for.
Or don't even know how to go online and not just do it.
Yeah, especially right now, we're in the beginning of it. That's why I believe now is the time that it's very important to understand that we have to improve the optics of the industry. And that's what part of this course is about, right? So now we're talking about taking a stance, protecting our job and where we are. I think that it's unfair to class most real estate professionals into one basket, yet people do it all the time, right? That basket of deplorables. Oh my God, another real estate agent card that's in my mailbox, right? What do I want to speak to them for? Well, let's see if we have a way to try to get maybe a little closer to them and see. So the goal for us is to learn, which you guys do by your courses, your continuing education. There's a million people out there that can talk about how to fight an objection, how to get a listing. But the goal is to learn, implement, not learn and say, yeah, not do it, but implement, remember what great agents already know, and then we got to do it again. Okay, so we're trying to create a cycle and a process of understanding people, maybe relating to people. We find our niche, we do it right, it's more homework up front, and away we go. Most everyone here said they don't even have a pre-qualification package and they don't have a buyer's rep package. We all want to find the key to success, right guys? Especially in real estate, that's a big deal. That's what we're all here for. We're here to make money, enjoy what we're doing, meet people, talk about it. So you are selling, that's what we do, but you're selling the relationship first. You're not there to go sell that house. You got to put that in your mind when you're dealing with people. You're not there to sell it. You're there to sell your relationship first. So let's invest in people. You guys invest all the time in other things, marketing schemes, you invest in your car so it looks like you're driving an expensive car. Try investing in people, right? We're selling memories and we're buying dreams. Does that make sense to everybody? Bang, in your head, like you're selling a memory. It's emotional, it's involved, right? But remember, conversely, you could be selling someone's dream because they got to lose it. Someone passed away, they lost their job. That's what makes this business so unique. All of those wonderful things, right? So it's important to remember though that that same sell that you try to address as being a great thing could be for some people a horrible thing. And if you have the same attitude for both those instances, which I know you don't directly, but maybe subconsciously you do, then really it's not good because you got to invest yourself in their circumstance, right? And again, like I said, that's what makes this business so unique. So we definitely have some talking points that we should look at when it comes to directly getting inside the head of the person that we want their business. We want to keep their business. We want them to go from a person who's just a sale to a refer. So what we're going to do is take a quick look at a video with some talking points. So concentrate on these talking points for a second, okay? Then we're going to look at how we can actually get some tools together to try to get through to these people. Okay, so there's some serious talking points there, right? We're trying to open a closed door, not just figuratively, but literally with what we do. So we need to really think about our approach. It's very important. How are your communication skills? Is there language barriers? You know, there's things to think about that someone may not understand what you're saying and they take you the wrong way, right? So how about your attitude or your energy, right? Your grooming. If you feel you're dressed one day, but you're not, is it always the same level of being your best, right? You're each day, not just most days. You have to be consistent. How late are you guys on a regular basis when you go to appointments? That pisses people off, right? It's almost impossible to get around the whole thing because you're always running from one to the next. And when you're with someone, you gotta do the same approach. You can't just go, oh, I gotta go buy and you leave them. You're about to do a deal with them. But you really have to keep in mind that just that thing about time, it might involve more of a buffer. That's something you got to work through. But I just want to let you know seriously, being late a lot, being late once is not a problem or twice, but being consistently late with the same person. Maybe be late a little more often, spreading it out. It's hard to actually adjust that. But if it's on the top of your head, you'll get it, because the concept of what we're trying to do is talk about if you're late or if you have different behaviors that are not great, how open are you to corrections? If you're not even open to correcting your behavior in regards to the things that you're looking at, then that's another story altogether, because what you want to think about is what impression are you leaving on people? When you left, what impression are you leaving, right? So we really want to see how it is that we can get into someone and get them to get a better impression of us. So we talk about charisma. I don't know if you guys have heard about charisma, but there's a definition and it's right there. It's compelling attractiveness or charm that can inspire devotion in others. She enchanted her guests with her charisma. So that's exactly what we're talking about here, right? Is we're trying to get to someone. Actually, charisma is really more about other people than it is about you. It's about relating to people. It's a perception. It's really about how they perceive you. That's what charisma is. You may think you're charismatic. The truth is you might have charisma towards one person, but not another. Let me just grab one of these packages. Thanks. No problem. So you guys are with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be charismatic, but are you charismatic to the same person that you think you are to someone else? So the truth is that there's a lot of speakers out there like Mike Ferry, Richard Robbins, right? Greg Proctor, Anthony Robbins, and of course our very own Vivian Reese, right? We should be very proud. There are only a few people that you name that are very inspirational people. They inspire people to do what they want. It's an important part because if you can inspire someone and we do that to our potential clients, they're automatically going to really become clients. If you inspire someone and you're inspirational and you're charismatic to them, they're going to want to work with you if the other people are not as much. It is about money, but it's also about showing them who you are. So when we talk about charisma in general, or we talk about being charismatic, one thing that's a statement that you would really want to talk about is understanding people to do that. So you have to ask yourself, what type of an agent are you in relation to the type of agent they need? Very important point. You think you're doing your best, you go there, and you're not relating to them in any way. There's going to be a reason for that. Because the whole concept of what we're talking about today is getting a person to work with you. But don't think of it as one sale. Try to think of it as many. We're trying to create this whole client-centric philosophy where people just think we're so awesome, they wouldn't want to work with anyone else. And that's really where we are. Try the art of authentic presence and connection in making that relationship. This can create compelling attractiveness or charm that can inspire devotion in others or to your team. You may not just be an agent, you may be getting a team together. In that case, that's triply as important because the more people you get that will find you how charismatic and attracted to you, the more you can create a successful team that will work. So how much space do you take up in a room is a question you got to ask yourself when you're in the room with people who are looking to use you or you want to get them to work with you. It's very important. So when you go into a room and you're with people, it's an idea is to be an observer at first. Think about that. You go in the room, be an observer, and when required, come to the forefront. But until then, do a lot of listening, right? You're asking questions that you already have in your package. Now we're talking about body language. Use your presence to facilitate trust. It's about how your body language is, how your tone of voice is. If you're in a rush or you're on the phone, some people may totally take that the wrong way. Some people might not. That's what we're trying to figure out today. How we can decipher when we go to see people, oh, I can get into them real quick, man. I can befriend them instantly. The idea is to get them to find you compelling, charismatic, attractive. And again, you know, conversely, if you do that wrong, like we talked about before, it can be a real problem because then you create the lack of trust. There's misunderstandings based on a snap judgment. That's part of why we said people don't trust real estate agents. Because a real estate agent might walk through, somewhere they gotta be. I've seen 100 of these houses. Hey, guess what? This house is worth 1.3 million. You really need to paint the rooms great. Okay, make them more vanilla. Yellow's not a good color. Okay, thanks. You know, how does that help someone really get into their circumstance? How does that help you befriend someone so that they're not just a client, they become a referrer, which is most important. So really think about people make decisions based on feelings. You want someone to feel safe. Think about that when you're with your next client. How can I make them feel safe and secure? This really is the key to the relationship that builds trust where they're only going to want to work with you. And I hope they only want to work with you forever, not just one deal. So because that'll save a ton of money on the back end with marketing and trying to get people. Anyone you get referred just save you a ton of money. Lack of being authentic. So what if you know what, Steve, I can't always be authentic. It's very tiring for me. Okay? Even sometimes I feel like I just can't keep up that bullshit guard. But it does take away. If you are like really good with people and not good with others, it's not going to keep your reputation intact at all. You got to try to think about protecting your reputation while you're looking at developing this relationship, right? So there's a lot of, I'd say, moving parts that are going on in all of this. So if you do not act consistent in your behavior, it takes away from the opportunity for that real connection. So as I was trying to say, that real connection is solid. It goes long term. It builds a better reputation to the industry. You might still get the sale. I don't say no. The problem is you have no way of maintaining the relationship. If someone else is willing to do it and go all the way and be well behaved and be engaging and be charismatic and do it all the time and always be trustworthy and always make you feel comfortable, but someone else isn't always doing it, just sometimes, you know, who's going to get the listing, right? Who's going to get the sale? Who's going to walk with that person to go buy a new home? You want to encourage the person to like you, love you, need you, right? So that's a very important part of the psychology of dealing with people. And earlier we talked about how to, you know, some of those tools that you need. So we talked about the relationship first, sell that. You have anything to sell whatsoever, don't sell a house, don't sell a car, sell your relationship. Work for that, put energy into that. And then you're absolutely going to see that the object comes next automatically. They'll want to sign your BRA. They're going to want to work with you because they'll be scared you're going to go work with someone else and they're going to get stuck with the other guy who doesn't really care so much. You got to pay close attention to the person's circumstance. Really important. Not on your own. It's not about you at that point. It's about them. It's not even about the product, as I keep saying, at that point. Not yet. It's all about just paying attention to the person's circumstance. There's a lot that are going on in people's lives all the time today. Use that to pick and prod and create the relationship. You need to take like a camera snapshot of them and wear it like a mask. Pretend that you're them. It's hard because it's like going back to the time when you guys weren't agents. It's like going back to the time when you were a buyer yourself. Maybe some of you can't even remember that time. Maybe you're never scared about a closing or thought you were going to lose money or hope you weren't going to lose out. But these people, these clients that you want to get to, especially and of course considering first and second time buyers or someone that hasn't bought and sold in 30 or 40 years, they're all going through this stress, which is the majority of the people we work with. Okay, maybe there's commercial investors and some other investors. Same idea with all these behaviors, same idea with that part. You really want to get to them, think like them, be like them. It'll help you create answers that they want to hear. It'll help you to empathize and have more successful outcomes. Just by doing what we're talked about alone already. You leave here, start thinking about the way people are, the way they think, the way what they're doing, get in their head, don't be so rushed. Automatically, you guys are going to see a result. I'm telling you that. I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people. I've been interviewing agents for 3 years. What are the most common denominators of mistakes that agents do? Why is it that they have such a horrible reputation? So what we're talking about is do whatever you can to save a miscommunication. Think about that. Does anybody have any questions so far about what we're talking about? Does it make good sense? Is it good reminders for people that this is the way that you can worm your way into their heart? It's not by dropping off 10 cards. Dropping off cards does nothing. Okay, that. It's coming at them with another angle that makes this person stand out differently, right? Understanding attitude versus behavior. Okay, read that paragraph, right? Who understands that? I'll give you an example while you're reading it, okay? You walk into a house and you tell someone, like I said, you got to change all the colors in the house. And change all the colors in the house. It took me 14 years to pick this blood red. Oh, you got to change the blood red. Okay. How about coming late? How about asking them to sign the form for the 3rd time because we didn't send it to them right the first 2 times? So what we're talking about here is understanding the way we speak. I'm 5 pissed, not 10 pissed. Is about reading people. If you have a mismatch, you now have a miscommunication. You can blow the whole thing right there alone. That's a pinnacle point. You can blow it right there alone. You really need to think. And if you're not sure, you need to ask the person how upset they really are about that instead of just assuming they're upset about it. Think about that. Oh my God, you're making me change the paint again? Not again, I only asked you once, actually. Originally, I asked you to make it this color, not that color. I'm not sure how it turned from fuchsia to lime green. I actually mentioned you should be using seafoam gray. You didn't tell me seafoam gray. Actually, I think I did. I'm very sure I did. I only ever use seafoam gray. That's how I know. I don't even pick another color. It's the same one I use. People have different personalities, eh? But that guy or that girl, that person might not have been as pissed as you thought they were about it. So ask them, how upset are you about that? I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was that important to you. Or the guy, girl, person might turn around and say, I'm just screwing around. I'm just pissed off. I gotta go spend another $30 on a gallon of paint. You know what? I'm gonna get that paint for you. How about I get that paint for you? When I come by tomorrow, I'll drop off an envelope. It's got $30. You go grab the paint, but it's on me. Got one effort. Actually, it's probably an automatic testimonial if you want to know the truth. If you do that, you have to try to read their behavior. You don't want to think that they're 5 mad or 5 happy when really they're 10 mad or 10 happy, because that's going to adjust the outcome of the relationship, the sale, the listing, the referral, all of that. You really want to think about getting to understand the person properly. This is a very key slide. Try to put a number on it when you're with someone. You talk to them, do you see they're upset or they're happy? Are they 5 happy or are they 10 happy? Think about that. And if you're not sure, ask them, right? What you're really doing is personality reading. You're reading into their personality. Because later, if you do that just a couple of times, you actually might just get them for the rest of the whole relationship, and you've got them for life. We want to lock them for life. One sale means not a lot. Each sale that you guys go to now, think about it. You want to own that person for the rest of your life. Any questions? Okay, so here's a couple of things that we always need to do, right? To make sure we're following this. I talked about questioning yourselves, question them, understanding what they're thinking, how they're talking. Listen for it. When you ask them a question, listen to the answer thoroughly. Stay in control. You sent me the phone 3 times. Yeah, I had to send you. Why'd you send it to me 3 times? Well, listen, it was mandatory to send it to you 3 times. Okay, it was mandatory for you, not for me. Don't let it get escalated. Stay in control, find your boundaries, right? So what we're trying to do here is understand that the relationship strength is the foundation of the outcome to your success. Okay, remember, if anybody at any time will put it in their business card or fill out the feedback form is very important to you guys. If you do that, I'll be happy to send you this PDF presentation in full form, okay? And you can have a look at some of this later, share it with people. I want to share it so it gets around. So that relationship strength is the foundation of your success. We're trying to look at opening double doors, right? Double set of doors there. What does that really imply to us? Want to get through them, right? Listen to understand, not listen to reply back is the same. Question, how do you know when you're actually doing that? So we're talking about listening to understand, not listening just to reply back. How do you know when you're listening to understand versus listening to reply back? Anybody have any idea? How do you know when? How do you know when? One is you're talking over someone, that's for sure. Someone's trying to talk to you and you're cutting them off and you're talking over them. You're not really listening. You have to remind yourself to shut up until they finish talking. Sure.
I think that when you listen to understand, you actually putting yourself in their situation and
Key.
feeling it.
Key.
Where they are.
Which is what we're getting at. As you can see, we've been here already 45 minutes. Like, it's about getting in the head of the client, taking these steps, thinking it through. Another way you know that's happening is that if you're thinking while they're talking, you can't really be thinking about what they're saying. So how could your answer be that great? I can't tell you how many times I've spoken with a real estate agent. They're asking me a question. I go to answer them. They're already chomping at the bit to give the reply, how much it's worth, whatever it is. And all they're doing is, I can tell they're not even listening, because by the end of my question, should have been a different answer. Hold on, you just answered the first half of what I was talking about. You didn't even address the second half of what I was talking about. Are you actually going to pay great attention to selling my home? Are you going to focus on my home when you can't even sit here and have a 30-second conversation with me? I know you're not listening to me. many, even good agents do this all the time. Because you guys have been ingrained with this repetitive method of doing things.
Multitasking and all this stuff, but you have to be mindful of what the customer.
I'm
is
talking
saying.
to you and you're looking at your phone.
How rude.
How do I feel?
How rude.
I guess my sale's not that important, right? Can you get off your phone for a second? No, because the next deal's coming. Try not to be living in the next deal while you're living in the current deal, right, guys?
That's right.
Yeah, it hurts the person. They know it. They won't use you again. I'm here after 20 years of buying and selling houses. I'm not an agent. I'm not a broker. For everyone else who walked in later, I'm the person who is going to be with you for life. I'm the client, the one you want to get into. So we're talking about this listening thing, which is so major. We know we're doing it when we're cutting people off. So let's have a quick, see if this interferes or gets complicated or simpler or not, right? So it's a real quick true or false question. The best way to handle all clients is to educate them on the whole process in the beginning. Do you think that's true? Even at a general level? Okay. So if you want to handle all clients, the idea is, yeah, you absolutely,
yeah.
Whoever said true is correct. Whoever said false is because they may think that you're trying to jam too much information into somebody at first, but it doesn't mean you have to do that.
Knowledge is
Yeah,
power.
You can do it at a very high level with just putting a sentence about this or that. We're going to look at it in a minute, okay? And then they think,
Education. I just call it highlights. So we do that all.
you can do that, right? But it's still educating them. If you taught someone something they didn't know before, you just educated them. If you taught them that, yeah, in the middle of it, right? If you taught them in the middle of it, did you know that if this goes on in the middle of it, everybody has so much questions for agents in the beginning, but no agent really wants to answer those in the beginning because we're not there yet. But if all you did was give them a general overview of what's going to happen from here until we get to here when we sell it, first of all, they may not bother you as much. Second of all, they have a way to get some information and then pull the rest from you when it's required. They may not even call you half the times because now they already know, and it just saved your phone from blowing up for stupid questions. Oh God, it's all in again. Hey, Steve, right? That's why we want to educate people at a high level. One, they think you're truly invested. Two, it gets you invested. And three, once you create this kit, we talked about who has a, before you came in, about who has a listing presentation, but who has a pre-qualification package, and who has a buyer's rep package that you use to grab buyers that you send out. We're going to look at a couple of those things.
Excuse me.
Sure.
But regarding to that question, most of the people, in my experience, when you explaining too much, they get tired.
You don't have to explain it. Why don't you give them a piece of paper
No,
and just leave it
like
with them?
giving all the information.
Yeah.
You know?
No, but
Giving-
I think, sorry,
That's okay.
I think that if you explain to them, for example, you'll begin showings, the officer is going to be calling you and you're going to confirm the showing. I will follow up with the showing and I will call you on it to let you know what the feedback was. So they don't have to bother calling me and say, hey, Lena, you know what, those people that came through yesterday, what happened, what did they say?
So that's even more, yeah, that's even a more focused thing, okay? What I'm referring to as example, what we're about to see is if you either create or give this information to people, you can either send it in a lightweight or you can make it too heavy, and that won't work either. So absolutely you don't want to send everyone all the details, but you might want to go over a couple of highlighted questions along the beginning, middle, and end. Let's say we're going to look at right now 4 points for each beginning, middle, and end. Thanks a lot, you guys. You didn't have to, you've already seen it 3 times. But. So the idea is we talk about, you know, do you have an amazing pre-qualification setup or package? There's workshops for that. Obviously, we're halfway through. This is not a workshop on fighting objections or how to do negotiation. We're talking about how to get in the head of the client here. Buyer's rep kit. Create your own style. Think of some things you could put in that package that might be informational, that might lead them to think about things, but you don't have to sit there and explain it. You can just send it to them. You can email it. You can drop it off. You can have someone else drop it off. And it gives them in the time, in the evening or at another time, not with you actually, totally not. And they can go over some of those things and understand it better. So what we're talking about is creating a package or a routine that makes people inquisitive. It makes people think you're in it for the long haul. It explains to them things they don't want to call you about later. And if you kind of did that lightly in the beginning, and it talked about all of it all the way through, you may never lose that person. They may be with you for the rest of your life. So we're talking about to help educate the public on the real estate process. And it's very important to create a healthy relationship right away. Educating people on touch points, trusting that you know they're gonna need, because they're already at that. It matters that you share this so potential clients become clients. So you might want to give them something about the beginning of the process in the beginning and hold the rest back. We're talking about understanding people. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But if you knew the kind of person they were, someone who knows and wants a lot of detail, you might give them more up front. And that's how you're creating a relationship, by having stuff to share with them. So what I'm going to do is actually hand something out. Here's an example. I have a handout that covers this, okay? So you'll formulate your own tools to educate people. You can use it in your own sales kits in any way you want. You can, I'm going to hand you a handout to look, but the whole point of what we're saying is that it's nice to show people the order of the life cycle of the transaction, okay? Just have a quick glance. I'm going to read a couple of things, show you a couple of quick slides, and give you an idea of what we can do. That work? I'm going to start from the back so they meet in the middle, okay? Okay, these are not verbatim. It's an example of something that you can break up. You can use it different ways. You don't have to use it.
Oh, okay.
There's two sets. You can just pick up a page, rip it. You're going to see it up here.
Okay.
It's going to be up here too. Here it is right there. Ready? So we're talking about going through points with people to create the right impression. If you go at their pace, you'll make a lasting impression. Example you spoke to, make sure you know what they're in for. What's the first thing that we should talk about when we're talking? Hey, from CMHC to GST, HST, LDPT, LGDC. LGDC is lead in broker remark comments. You don't want to see that. If they don't understand about any of these acronyms, they may end up spending thousands of dollars in OMGs, right? No, isn't that a good way to open this? I never had an agent come up to me, hey, do you know what you're in for? I wish I did. Crap in my arm, I don't even know what's going on. My wife can't even sleep. Just that first one alone, man. You walk up to them, you tell them that, you go, boom, they look at you and they go, great, got that one done. But you could add a checklist instead of just having the question. So if you had a checklist in that guide and you look at this one as a quick example, these are just quick blurbs I threw together. You might have a checklist. The first thing on my checklist is the amount of time and effort that it takes to sell or buy a home. Isn't that the number one thing people don't realize? How much time and effort it actually takes to buy or sell a home? Let's talk to them about that for a quick second. Not long, we don't want to bore them. Getting pre-qualified for a mortgage or product that supports the purchase. Calculate how much you need, right? How much you can afford. Give them a handout that says, give them a checklist. How much you need for the down payment? Have you ever thought about gift money? How about seeing if you can or be eligible for any government grants? I've never had a real estate agent come up to me, not my first time or any other time, and ask me about rebates for grants. Maybe there's a link we can send them. And there is. It's only to the Ontario government. It's got nothing to do with you. All you got to say is, look here, walk away. Look here, walk away. It's not on you. It's on the lawyer. It's on the government. But who gets the advantage of that, eh? Not the lawyer or the government. Develop your needs, wants, and wish list, right? How important is that? To some people, a needs, want, and wish list might be a totally different thing. Somebody might be disabled. They need a wider door. They need a jacuzzi. Someone may not be disabled, but they just want a jacuzzi. I'm the one who wants the jacuzzi. I wrote that for me. So the idea is to help them walk through in understanding what it is these guys are getting into, right? So with developing your wants, wishes, and needs, we're there. We went through this with them. We're talking about maybe if you're looking at a wants, needs, or wish list, try to be creative with it and be different, right? Not just about the bedroom sizes, parking is a consideration, stuff like that. The dreaded paperwork. Oh my God, the paperwork, right? Forms from the start, documents to be signed, lawyers. It's all good fun, right? Well, it ain't for everyone. Let me tell you that right now. It freaks people out, the forms. BRA, the first one. Maybe let them see the BRA so they're not so scared. Explain it in a different way, right? So we're talking about the dreaded paperwork. We're talking about really just an example of how you all can make your own tools. Put in what you think you want to express to them. Not all at once. They can read it in their own time. They have their own time to read it. Create a real estate life cycle for them. right? So that if, for example, that sale doesn't go through or things don't happen, at least they'll be there next time they'll think of you. You got to make sure you're top of mind for them all the time. Even if that deal doesn't go through, it saves a lot of money in marketing. So you're talking to them about picking their agent or their team, right? The agent makes all the difference. We know that for sure, that that's true. So you want to speak to them about that. You want to speak to them about buying their biggest, right, purchase of their lives. Don't worry, don't sweat it. I'm here for you. I'm here to walk you through so you feel more comfortable in what you're about to do, right? That's being client-centric. So there's checklists for that. The agent makes the difference, right? Get to the homework now. Start thinking about an investment. Start thinking about this home. Where are the sellers? What makes the difference? How committed are you to making changes? How flexible are you if you really want to sell this home on price and other things? Do it up front. Show it in a list. Maybe you don't have to preach it to them. Let them read that. If it doesn't go good, you might have to be flexible on your price. Not coming from your mouth, right? They don't trust you, remember? So at this point, when you're asking for a price decrease, they might already know it's coming because you let them know that if you're not selling your home in this kind of a market, one of the very first things we'll need to do is price it accurately. I hope you guys didn't overprice in the first place because that's a nightmare. But if you then have them already know that and you come up to them and say, you know, we got to look at a price decrease. How happy would you be if they go, yeah, I knew that was coming? How often does that happen? Never. Okay, house hunting, house preparing, right? House hunting, I already usually know when it's coming. House hunting, house preparing continues. That's massive. So if they had a way to look at something before, you could tell them to go online. There's a million lists that tell you how to prepare your house. Well, you know, how to get ready for sale. One of the key things is, right, the outside. If you just take a $4 bag of sand and you just sand grout the beginning of the interlock, it looks like a brand new interlock. How many times have I walked through a home and there's grass growing through it like that? You don't have to come and call a landscaper, just sanding. Pay your kid $3, $4, sand it, right? So all these things that are out there that are incredible ways and tips and tricks, create your own amazing list and put it part of your package that you give with them. Where are they gonna find it? Right there. Does this ever end? Usually not until you sell it. So there's so many things like this that we gotta look at, that we can create a list for someone, that we can help them out and get them going with it, okay? So as we look through this, and we talk about the lawyer, because at some point, hopefully things are going good, no matter what, they're gonna need a lawyer, right?
You always need
You always need a lawyer. That's the problem, and that's why the checklist for that is called Lawyer Up, because that's what you're gonna have to do. So when we're talking about the lawyer, or lawyering up as an example, you could speak to them to a couple of things that they might wanna look into. Like for an example, if you were there to say to them, when you hire your lawyer, ask your lawyer these couple of questions. They're automatically going to think you're on their side no matter what. You're not on like the lawyer's side, because everybody thinks the agent's on the lawyer's side. Lawyers hate you guys too, because your agreements never make sense with the right clauses. No offense. Speak to your floor manager. He'll show you the right clause. Go online. There's a million, but it is true. Eh? Like, okay, another new clause to learn. Why can't they just use standard clauses? Yeah, now you did. It's important to use the right clauses. They need to. Most lawyers charge a standard flat rate, as you know, for doing a closing.
Make a lot more each deal, right? Than they do.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't like you either.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Right, because they can do about 8 deals to 10 deals to your one deal to make the same money. I'm not talking about both halves. I'm talking about your half. Right, Adam? Okay. Well, you can change that. Well, I think you already know you have a certain kind of a reputation. Everybody agreed in the beginning. Halfway through this, do everybody now think everybody loves them?
No.
Try following this and they might. Okay. Expand on the points that are required for an individual. That's really directly relating to what this lady was saying. Don't automatically go in with all the information. Only expand on points on what they require. So you may want to speak to them about the big one, right? Putting money in to get money out, right? So there's different packages that you're going to want to create for different situations. These questions are a good part of some packages, depending on how the way you want to do it, how you want to give it. You may want to speak to them about the offer and have a little description about what the offers are, conditional versus firm. You won't have to explain it later. If they get that, and you tell them, here's a little something that talks about the life cycle of the real estate transaction. They might think, holy man, this person's really into what they do. They're gonna show me a little, or they don't have to read it. No one said they do. But if they say to you, I got an offer, what does that offer mean? You could say, in our package, when you look up offers, we have it all explained what conditional and firm means. If they've already happened to read it before they get a conditional offer, they're already gonna know it means that the house isn't guaranteed sold. They'll know the difference between firm and conditional. You won't have to train them. If you save yourself doing that time over multiple times together, it's a very, very effective way to accumulate more time back for yourself. Just have a look. I already sent it to you. Have a read. You'll see what it is. And then when we're talking about putting money in to get money out, I just want to let you know one of the things that I look at is when I'm talking to agents, one agent can come in and say, you got to redo the whole house. Another agent can come in and say, I wouldn't redo anything. One agent can, we have someone looking at a house that we have for sale right now on Waterloo. They walk through the house, they go, wow, you know, what a cozy home. I can see all the memories that were made here. It'd be perfect for a young couple. Another agent came in yesterday and said, wow, you got to tear this thing down. But that agent just told me this house is amazing. Which is it? It's like CMAs, man. Okay. So we're talking about up for sale, what's working, what's not. This is a little blurb. You might want to tell them that it talks about, we're going to have to go to this stage if this doesn't work. You know that one, right? You're praying it sells, so I don't have to explain to them why we got to change and finally paint that lime green over. Well, we've had 3 complaints that the bedroom doesn't look right. Well, they're not complaining about the paint. No, but they said the bedroom doesn't feel right. What do you think feel right means? So they have to realize that they may not want to paint that up front, but you may be able to say to them, look, if this house doesn't sell in 2 weeks, are you then willing to paint the room? Don't answer me, just think about it. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to answer me, just think about it. Will you be willing to paint that room from the lime green that you're insisting you won't paint today? Will you paint it if we don't have anyone in 2 weeks? See what they say? They say no, at least you already know they ain't painting that room, right? So what's working, what's not is a very serious thing to show people up front. I wish I would have known 20 years ago about when something's not working, what can I think about doing next without just waiting to call my agent. That's why you're getting 50 million calls a day. An offer, great news, isn't it? Right? We talk about offers or offers being defined and then giving someone an explanation as to what to do with an offer, why it's conditional. Today it's conditional. Last year it wasn't. There was, a year and a half ago, there was no conditionals, maybe 2. So if all this information was given to them and they had something to look up front, and I'm going to show you something in a minute that you guys are going to be able to use for marketing yourselves, that turns a boring list like this into something that's more easily read and relaxed, okay? Because text is hard. You can use a little, but if you use text a lot all the time, it makes it difficult for people to grasp. But firm, great. If not, what I want you to notice about it, and we're kind of on the last slide of these, is there's a life cycle to this. The day after you buy it, right? It's closed, you bought it. You're so proud you bought it. So where conditional meets firm, sold another one, is an explanation to them. We're now firm, it's now sold, you now have to get out, you now have to go rent a place to put your stuff in. You didn't do that when it was conditional. We got a conditional offer, phenomenal, great. So did you hear it? Yeah, I bought the place in Florida. Why? We're conditional. I rented the locker for all my stuff. I told my mother-in-law, get out, the house is sold. Your mother-in-law is sitting on the driveway and it's only conditional, and it's conditional on financing and inspection, right? The most common two. So it ain't a done deal until it's done deal. If they think that you went over some things with them lightly and explained it to them, they'd be in a better place in regards to understanding what's about to happen to them. They may think of you later, even if that sale doesn't go on, because they know you're into it for the long haul, right? Leave people feeling like you'll support them throughout, not just in the beginning. It's key, right? Talk to them about the logistics to closing, put it in a calling card that you want, put it in a list that you want to use, create it as part of your tools, and they're going to see a worth automatically in what you do. Automatically, if you gave someone a paper, you're going to see another method of doing it. A video recording on YouTube. Click here and see my Google ad, this, that, social media. And you gave them a place to look at that transaction and how it might go for them when they're there, and you did all that with them. They're going to know you're into your game, man. They're in it for the long haul. They're showing me somewhere, I remember, I can reference it later. You're gonna get less calls. They're gonna appreciate you more. I got a guy, person, they're amazing, you gotta use them. Why? They walk you through it, but they don't burden you with the information. That's the key point, right? So understanding what type of person you're dealing with, what kind of personality you're dealing with. We talked a little bit more about the beginning, but I do want to tell you that a list like that absolutely relieves stress for people. They're just not sure, man. I'm telling you, they're stressed out, they're freaked out. As an agent, you tell them, don't worry about it. It's easy for you to say. You're not the one with everything on the line. Well, you feel like you're this much on the line, you want your commissions on the line. But that's why we want to do something like this, okay? Where we are right now is at a point where we're going to look at it from a bit of a different angle now. And we're talking about general client topics, okay? So I want to say that again, this is the perspective of a client. What we're about to go through, we're more about halfway. If you guys want, you're more than welcome to take a break. Does everyone want to take a break, or do you want to just kind of get through this? Yeah? Do you want to take a 5-minute break and then come back, or you guys want to go through? We're gonna,
How long after that?
we're another maybe 40 minutes, okay? Maybe 40, 45. Yeah, you want to take a break? Yeah, okay. Yeah, everybody? You guys, I want to offer, just take a 5-minute break, and we're going to start back in 5 minutes for 2 seconds. Okay, just go to the washroom or whatever you have to do. But I want to ask right now during this time. Yeah, just, pardon me? Not only are you going to get that package, you're going to get one that you can pick a lot of different things from. I'm going to send the presentation. You're going to see some tools. Oh, only 2 minutes, eh, guys? So let's go back quick. We'll just go and come right back, okay? And I'm even going to provide other tools that you can take from this and work everything in. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Beautiful. Thank you. You guys shake it out. Who here's only an agent for less than 2 years? One. Who else is here an agent? Less than 2 years? You look so professional. How long have you been an agent?
4 months.
Right. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. I wasn't paying attention.
Less than years.
Yeah, less than 2 years. I remember it was less than 2 years. Great, great. How long have you been an agent? Yeah. Brother, thanks. Love and love.
I honestly
People in the back, I'll see. And also, we're going to throw feedback out. We're going to start with a couple of minutes. Only one other person. 2 more people come back and we'll start with that.
I'm okay, you? You look so snazzy today.
Wow, the cards are flying. Ladies and germs. Oh, uh-oh. Am I gonna have a job after that?
I think didn't you correct my post one time?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I hope you didn't take offense to
No,
that.
my eyesight's bad, so I was like,
She posted, yeah, I hope you don't mind. That's
no,
all.
I appreciate
No,
it.
thanks for letting me do it, man. That's what it's about. I'm getting a lot of agents. That do, you know what?
Can you proofread all my stuff?
supply.
Stephen, can you
Yeah.
proofread all my stuff for me, please?
I'm out there proofreading as much as I can, but I'm very busy, you know, so it's very hard for me to do that. How does that make you feel? Okay, I'm gonna grab one thing for here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Did you grow up in Thornwell?
Where?
Thornwell?
I grew up in the beginning in Baptist Hill, and then I moved to Thornhill, then I moved to Richmond Hill, all on a dying ski.
Oh, but as a kid.
No, Baptist Hill. And then I went to the Army for 4 years.
Oh, really? So you, how old are you?
Right now, 51.
So you know, like, the Coopers, is that Baptist still, like Carolyn?
Well, I moved away from Baptist Hill. Sorry, my head's squishy, Wendy.
That's okay.
I'm looking for my.
No, because I had a neighbor that grew up with somebody named Stephen Solomon. Like lived seriously right beside me. You don't look like him, but I didn't know.
Great. Well, I'm not. Close enough. Okay, we'll get organized. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Okay. No, you cannot. These are all the agents I've spoken to in the last.
Oh, okay.
This is an example of how many agents I've spoken to in about the last 9 months about this. Some of them are LePage, some of them are others. Adam, there's your first. It's just crazy the amount of agents that are out there.
Well, but you're not really supposed to tell us.
You don't know that there's a lot of
Yeah,
agents
no,
out
we
there?
do, but I don't wanna hear about it.
I was
don't
sure you
care
didn't
that
know.
There's other agents.
I was sure you didn't know that when you're driving home, you'll never see a real estate agent sign anywhere.
I don't care if
Especially
there's
the-
other agents.
Once you see the next half, it's even better. We're gonna get serious now, though. We're gonna get serious now. Okay, you got it. We'll start back in about 1 minute, guys.
Yeah.
Now, I have. Psychology. Here, take this one. It's a healing tool for in case of emergency. We got you covered. Right? Branding.
So maybe, okay, yeah. Oh, so for sure that's what it is, yeah.
Okay. Hey. And you're a kid. There's a copy of this. This is a copy of this.
I'm gonna follow you on Instagram.
Oh, yeah? Right. Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram, and we have tips too and stuff. I'll mention it at the end. It's Wadshot. If you're on Instagram, type in WATCH, space TAWD, Todd, and it's all there. I'm getting a follower during the talk. That's good.
That's him, and
You
you
know
get
that's good.
another
And
one.
you- isn't that great? Yeah, I love it. It's all real estate, eh? Okay, is everybody back? If not, they know that when they walk in, we'll be underway.
Where can I get it?
Ah, okay, great. We're being live streamed. Okay, guys, you ready? Let's get the juices going again. Okay, everybody have a seat. We're on Instagram. We just got followed by people already. I was live. That's great. It's awesome because I care about you guys. I want you to know that. I care about the reputation of agents because maybe I'll become one soon.
Then you have to go 2 years to Hunter.
I'm not going to become an agent, I promise.
I know.
IT was my game. I was in the military for years. I spent 6 years with Scouts Canada. So with people, dealing with youth, that's my thing. I like new things all the time. But I absolutely am focused by starting a corporation and hiring people and getting out there is this reputation's got to change, man. It's so unfair the way people treat real estate agents that are good agents. I've seen good agents lose out just because they're called an agent. I think that sucks, personally. So we're talking about a guide right now to creating relationships, right? Which is where we were before. We talked about the psychology of it. We talked about the psychology of understanding what people are trying to get into. We're trying to take some of the fear out of it for them. And now we want to look at some of the things. Okay, I gotta pick up the pace a bit. Okay, we want to talk about some of the things that are more related to what you do, but I want you, again, to keep in mind, as I explained, that I'm not the authority on that, okay? I'm not a broker, so you're gonna ask technical questions to your floor manager. You're gonna ask technical questions to people who've been in the business many, many years. What I'm trying to do is get your juices flowing and think about it in maybe a little bit of a different way, okay? So this is the perspective of a client who has been out there interviewing and finding out what might be missing when an agent is out there. What do you think agents don't get? What do you think people are? A year of culmination is what we're about to look at with interviewing people. For trade secrets, there's a host of workshops that you can take. There's workshops on listing presentations, handling objections, negotiating, all those things are out there. For game strategies, you should take advantage of all the continuing education by the influencers. There are many of them. I mentioned 4 or 5 of them in the charisma slide. Vivian Reese is my favorite one, of course, but she's very much an influencer, very much someone who gets the people with charisma, and she's attractiveness, makes people want to go to her. She makes people want to go to her. That's what we're trying to do. So I'm going to lightly touch base now on what a client looks at, what the client's points are, but in regard a real estate format. The following is what realtors and people looking to buy and sell have told me over the years that are so important to them. So here's some of those touch points right now. General topics on when you're doing leads or talking to leads to convert. Dig into your client's circumstance. Encourage them to dig too. Disclose, 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 right? It's good to find out later. It's certainly okay to find some things out later, but it's not cool to find out later that the guy's moving in 3 weeks because he's got a new job in DC. That's not cool, you know? That's something you would have wished they would have told you. So I want you to think about things like that. So if somebody says to you later, oh, I didn't mention we have lead pipes, asbestos, and insulation. We have easements against the house. You know, you'd be freaking to find that out later. Dig into their circumstance. I don't know if I can emphasize that enough, okay? Because people don't really tell you the truth up front. Like I said, they're afraid that if they tell you the truth up front, it's going to have a bad effect on the outcome of their sale. When really the truth is, it's pretty much the opposite. If someone actually went out and told you the truth about everything, you wouldn't say, I don't want the deal. You'd say, we have to approach this differently. Here's the right way to do it. And then they will be amazed. But when it is the fact that you don't even know there's lead pipes or asbestos, you can't do nothing about it. But really it's your job in the beginning to dig into that circumstance, okay? So it's a very important part about it. Ask questions, take notes for later. How many times you guys been through a walkthrough and remembered later that you wish you would have remembered that piece of information? If you would have took a picture, it would have been in your hand, or if you would have wrote that note down at that time, I know you're rushed, at least then you would have had the information. It doesn't look great when you got to go back and call the client again to go over the same information. So it's one thing that you want to make sure you do is ask questions and take notes for later. It's very important. Work with respect, integrity, and honor. It seems simple, right? It seems like a no-brainer. It's almost self-explanatory. But you need to remind yourself of that on more of an ongoing basis. Because sometimes we do it and maybe sometimes we don't do all of it at the same time. It's important because it'll naturally help people let their guard down. If you're working with respect, integrity, and honor throughout your day, I'll tell you now, the first half of what we talked about starts to melt away. Because people will trust you if you work in that way. Not everybody does. And again, I'm not thrilled with Rico right now. I'm kind of a little pissed off. Be an ambassador to the industry. Think about that statement. Be proud of your job. You know, think about when you go out that you're the one that's going to make them less stressed. Hi, I'm here to make your life less stressed. Hi, I'm here to make sure that this goes a little smoother for you. Here's some stuff that you can read about. Here's my package and my kit. I don't want you to feel pressure from me. You feel pressure from them. I'm here to help. Think about how you can be an ambassador to the industry, and it'll actually create a much better environment. Okay? So one other thing about ambassador, by the way, is doing a good deed for someone is like being an ambassador. If you guys said to somebody, let me carry that down for you, it's one thing. But if you said, no, I'm not taking no for an answer, let me help you, let me see how I can help you, it'll create referrals. And here's actually the best way to get referrals right there. Be an ambassador. I get referrals because I give my cards out when I go drinking. How's that work for you so far? So one thing that's hard about being an ambassador and staying entirely with respect and honor throughout the whole thing is standing up for yourself is one thing. When you want to work with difficult clients, it's another thing. So think of it this way, that you should have an automatic respect for yourself, almost like, you know, a lawyer or a doctor or a nurse. Oh, doctor, they have such an automatic respect. You should have respect for yourself, and people should have respect for you. One thing that you kind of need to know is when to turn down business, right? So can anybody give me an example of when they might feel inclined to turn down business? Or you may say never. You don't have to say that you turned down business. You don't have to say that to me. The person was unbelievably rude to me. I went to go see their house. They insulted me. They told me they met 3 other agents and they were all better looking than me. Like, when do you turn?
Those will not be the reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay. You know. Okay. But what would be a reason why you might turn down?
If they have a grow off in their basement.
You would
or-
turn down
Yeah.
because of that?
I would.
So there's new rules and regulations about that.
Yes.
And whether a grow up consists of somebody who's allowed to grow the 4 plants that they're allowed to
Of
grow or
course,
not.
I mean a grow off.
Okay, if
not
it's
just
a grow
growing
off,
your plants,
Okay,
yeah.
so you wouldn't take the listing and disclose, or do whatever had to be done properly, of course, through the channel. You would turn on that listing. I want to mention only one thing. I would actually probably turn down business. I'm not an agent, not a broker. It's when it would affect my reputation.
Right.
Right. Okay. Think
Yeah,
about
I
that.
wouldn't want.
That's
to
the biggest thing I
wouldn't
got
want
from everyone I interviewed.
reputation.
It doesn't matter about the product. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about people. We're talking about getting in their head, owning that person. Well, I'm not going to let anybody own me. If I went and somebody said, I'm seeing that, but I knew the outcome of that sale, if it didn't go good, or that person right off the bat was a nightmare, and they were going to drag my name through the mud on the internet, you can keep the sale, because that's going to lose you 20 others. So my direct answer about knowing when you should actually be turning down business, holding true to your values, is they're going to affect your reputation. Does that make sense to everybody? Totally? Right. It's a very clean and clear way to understand when you should be doing that. That's when you turn down business. Okay? I want to show you what's called like a life grab. It's not a life hack, but it's more of a life grab. And it's really along the lines of the summation of a sales philosophy. I've been selling my whole life, maybe not real estate, but I've been selling myself my whole life. I've been selling IT. I was in the military for 5 years. I spent 5 years with Scouts Canada growing a troop from 3 youth to 31 youth. And in that, I dealt with 100 parents. Some kids only have 1, some kids have 3 these days. When you put it all together, it's really about associating to people, right? People are funny animals. Life is made up of experiences. And you are who your name is. These are the 3 things I raised my sons on, okay? When you think about people are funny animals, it's just a true statement. People are odd. To one person, one thing is one way. To another person, it's another way. Like, how do you get a gauge of what you're supposed to say or not say? It's offensive. It's not offensive. You're blue. Did I touch you? Today, it's wild out there. People are funny animals, man. Life is made up of experiences. So this person who bought a home on a court was broken into. They bought a home on a court. It was hidden. They were broken into, but not once. In a few years period, the person was broken into twice. Hey, my name is Steve. I know you're looking for a new home. I got a great home. It's on a court in Richmond Hill. I don't want a court. Why don't you want a court? It's a beautiful home. It's privacy. You don't even have a sidewalk on that side. You're going to love it. I don't want a court. But maybe you didn't know that because the person lived in a bad side of town before. They were broken in twice because they were on a court. Life's made up of experiences. To someone else, that court means nothing. To someone else, that court is a trap for getting. Try to understand that about people. They have different experiences. Have a conversation and dig into their circumstance. Ask them about their life. Oh, that person will never do it because I know they like that. When you do that and you get through them at that level, you end up becoming their friend, not their salesperson. You end up becoming someone who they want to do business with over and over again. If all you did was work, how do these people ever, oh, I only work off referrals. I wouldn't knock on the door. I only work off referrals. Wonder how that person got to the point where they're very wealthy and they can continue to have a great lifestyle and all they do is work off referrals. How'd they get there? You are who your name is. That's along the lines of the ambassador. Leaving no trail to get yourself in trouble later. Don't leave Don't lie. Don't leave things behind to get caught. If you go through and you don't lie, and you say things that are very accurate, and you stick to your gun, and you're a professional, automatically your name will speak for itself. Okay? So that kind of stuff's important. And like I said, so important to me that these are the people, you know, I took these to my children, right? So prospecting is a big thing, right? Again, this is not a workshop that I'm gonna say, I'm preaching to you that I'm a professional, but let's see what I gotta say. When you're qualifying leads, okay, we're gonna talk about these at a very high level. If we did more, we'd need a whole workshop for this alone, that's for sure, okay? But it's more of a reminder, okay? Qualifying leads starts with a routine, a daily routine. Whoever doesn't do it daily means they're not stoking the fire and the fire can go out, okay? It's a daily routine. You have to plan it in your daily planner. So you either already do that or you don't. You do it every second day, it should be daily. Time, it takes time to qualify leads, that's for sure. The more you start, the easier it is. Basic sales training for anybody for qualifying is talking to the client to find out more information, right? That's what we're doing, we're interviewing them. Like reading a person's personality, like I talked about. Are they anal? Do they know too much? Do they think they know more than they do? Do they want a very little bit of information, not a lot of information, right? So when we're talking about qualifying people and we're reading their personality, we want to find out about their budget. If they're financially, do they financially qualify for what they're looking for? Who's the decision maker? Are they going to be there tonight? Timelines. These are all the things you're going to hear about when you go to the courses. But understanding the client is very important. See if they know what price they want themselves. See if they understand that by doing it during qualification when you're prospecting. So do you think you know what your home might be worth? It doesn't have to be, what price do you want? So, do you think you know what your home might be worth? It's a lot more relaxed way of asking. We want people to be safe and comfortable, not cornered, not like you're about to pull out a document that they have to sign, okay? So look at examples of that in the industry when you're talking about how you put things in order to decide, you know, BANT, anybody heard of BANT? B-A-N-T, it's a common one that's used in the industry. Budget, authority, need, and timing. Budget, who has the authority, need, and timing. Part of a pre-qual, right? This workshop, these workshops that they have, right now what I'm trying to point out is that the potential clients who you want to make a client who will go the distance with you, you got to get to know them right at this point right away. You're qualifying them as a lead, what they're able to do with you. What you're trying to do really is set up a system of nurturing them from the very beginning, asking them about any objections they might have in the beginning. There's all these things that we can do in the very beginning while we're trying to qualify. Keep yourself top of their mind. You want them to think of you as a real estate needs person all the time. You don't want them to think of you as just a one sale horse. You're there for all their needs all the time. You can ask questions to qualify them and get that through to them at the same time. Take a workshop on just that alone. So advertising versus brand marketing. Can anybody tell me the difference? Does anybody know the difference? Anybody think they know? Oh, sure.
I think that brand marketing is, you come up with a slogan and you stick with that, and that's branding you forever, for that time that you're in the business. Advertising is like you're advertising your listing and you're advertising something about yourself, and you use the branding. I don't know.
Well, no, you're getting there. You're on your way there. You're driving there. You're on the way. So advertising, really simply put, is like when you put an ad in the paper. When you're advertising something. A house, whatever it is that you're advertising, it's considered an advertisement. It's an advertisement for something, right? The home, the bungalow, the land, the business, any of that is offered. No, you sure? Okay. Is offered in advertising. But when you're talking about brand marketing, it's taking a little bit of your advertising budget, or it'd be great if you created a separate budget, and it's about getting you, yourself, your name out there. It's really about what you represent and your highlighted features. So it's not about the product, it's not about the house, it's not about what you sell, it's about who you are. So when you really want to think about branding or brand marketing, it's really like a call for action. When I drive by and I see that person's face, it might just be a normal real estate face. There's so many real estate signs out there. I really want to see an agent, for one, start to come up and think about themselves and talk about the integrity or the way that they are, or what their focus is, their specialty is, and brand it that way. So really it would be more about you. So an example would be a brand ambassador. They really speak more than just the property. They speak to trust. They speak about recognition of them. People, they recognize them as a brand ambassador. It's a lifestyle that can be achieved by somebody if they work with you or they work with the brand. Try to create a brand where someone looks at your branding and says, I want to do business with them. Man, they're into what they do. Try to let it smell of honesty, integrity. It's not easy. A lot of companies are out there, that's all they do, right? Brand marketing. There's a whole workshop on social media marketing. And a lot of the social media marketing takeaway is being a brand ambassador. Sell yourself first. That's all we've been talking about pretty much, right? Make sure you get through to them about who you are. Take these points and work with them. Do something about it, right? So prospecting is making relationships, and there's tools for that. So those tools that we're talking about is something like this, a letter of value. Letter of value. There are ways today to show people your value. I'm going to take a minute and go through a couple of examples that you guys might think are pretty cool. And they're a way to show someone your value. What do you offer? Do you guys believe that the top two ways are still cold calling and door knocking? Come on, somebody has to have an answer for me. I don't know. Do you believe cold calling and door knocking are the top two? There's no right or wrong.
Yes.
Okay, I got one yes. No, one yes, one no. There's no wrong or right answer here, by the way. I'm not gonna pull the next slide up that says you guys suck. No. That was the first slide said you guys suck. The first slide said you guys suck.
For door knocking, yes, cold calling, no.
I got a half and half. I got a 50-50. Look at you, you're creative. You say one part yes, one part no?
Yes.
Okay. Which part's the best part?
Between door knocking and cold calling, I prefer door knocking.
You prefer does everybody prefer cold calling over door knocking? Okay. What I'm trying to represent here right now in this instance is, it's the same like CMAs. Everybody's got almost like a different answer, right? So imagine I'm a client and I ask you a question and I get 4 different answers. Oh, why is everybody so confused? I don't get it.
Each people have a different way of.
Absolutely. That's what's so great. So you want to make yourself appeal to the person you're in front of by thinking about what I've been saying, so that when you're talking to them, you're only saying ding, 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 ding. Oh, that clicks with me. That resonates with me. I'm working with you, only you. You want them to feel guilty if they speak to somebody else.
Exactly.
Well, don't
Yes.
you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not here to talk crap, but let's get down to business, right?
Yeah.
You want them to get addicted to you. Have you ever had a relationship with someone that you wish you could spend more time with them? They go home and you're like, man, damn, I'm going out with them next time I go drinking for sure. You want them to feel that way. Right now, it's so almost the opposite. See where I'm getting at? Cool. So this is called an infographic. Has anybody heard of an infographic? Okay, so infographics have been around a couple of years. They're coming up very hard and fast right now. And what it is it's a way to display who you are. Everyone should think about making one, guys. There's no better or best. You can be creative. And I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to show you only a couple more. I'm here to help anybody who wants to make their infographic for free. You speak to me, email me, put it on your comments sheet. I want you to help me with my infographic, and I will absolutely meet you somewhere. Come here, and we'll do it together. Maybe we should do one on infographics. The idea about it is that it's a quick and simple way to not confuse people. Eh? In one shot, they get to know something about you, how many homes you've sold. Make it colorful. Talk about, with me, average days. It's something that can be changed out, so you're not using your dusty old paper that you've been using for 5 years. And during the 5 years, while you use the same letter, or again, for some of the newer agents, you're developing your first set of tools now. I hope today you realize you need more. Those tools that you're doing need to be changed out and kept up with the times. Can't be always the same. This is an easy way to do that. because then all you'd have to do is change one part and the infographic would then become accurate for that moment. So this is one that's a little more, right, beefed up. This is for a company that does search engine optimization. But easily we could turn that into a realtor's infographic. We provide painters. We cover this cost every time you sign with us. List with me and I'll pay your closing costs with your lawyer. This is an amazing infographic way to do a flyer or a mail out. Aren't you guys sick of seeing real estate cards in the mail?
Yes.
Well, if you are, how do you think I am? I use it to start my fires on Friday night in the house because the cards are thick and glossy and they burn really well. That's what it's for, isn't it? Well, look, they all look the same to me, man. Okay, and I'm the client. I'm not an agent. I'm not a broker. I don't have to bullshit you. There's the SEO. Okay, think about how you're displaying who you are to people. How can you get in their head? How can they want to use you all the time? Man, this person's up front, right? Changeable. A little more, right? A little more detail. We went from one with very little detail to a lot of detail. This infographic is talking about the whole market in one shot. It's talking about what's out there, what's going on. It's almost a market analysis that you could be handing. You could even do a CMA like that almost, right? They're all the same. How many people read a CMA and they got to read the broker remark? You print out the same thing, guys, man. It's a picture of the house at the top with a whole bunch of text underneath it. Do something different. It'd be great to get one of those that said, how many houses in my area sold like that? I might actually show it to somebody instead of lighting my fire with it. We showed you a list today of questions you can ask people to talk to them about the life cycle of buying or selling, renting, but it's there. We can get his clients later. Got to do it. But buying and selling, there's a way to give a seller's checklist. There's the same kind of questions that we had in the sheet that I had, that we passed around. Did I get them back? Are you planning on selling your home in the market soon? You can make your statement, right? That's not branding. That's not advertising. That's tools to educate people. Educate someone and they will appreciate it. They will stick with you. They'll know. They'll feel bad about calling someone else. What's the number one reason someone feels bad about calling someone else? Well, money is always money. But if you spend a lot of time with them and you build a relationship with them, that's what made, they're not that great an agent, but I would feel horrible about using someone. What do you mean? They're not that great, but I've already used them. They knew my mom. Oh, like, you're talking about missing out on maybe $50,000, $60,000 on a $1 million home because you use the right agent who knows how to speak to people the right way, that knows how to do an offer correctly. I would never use someone just because I like them for that. But if they were good at what they did and I like them, that's the killer scenario. Because then you're going to stay with them. They know what they're doing and they like you. Both is the killer scenario. So we're getting there. We're getting down. We're talking about tools. We're talking about how to get to people. And we're talking about CRM. Put up your hand if you use a CRM. Wow, 3, 4, only 4. Hey. No one else here. Does someone here? Okay, first of all, CRM. The definition of CRM is, and this is taken directly out of Salesforce, because Salesforce is one of the biggest CRMs out there. They're not the only one. There are other people, but I got to credit who I quote. CRM, by the way, is customer relationship management. Okay, if you didn't know, it's customer relationship management. Everybody knows CRM, but do they even know the acronym? But in a nutshell, according to Salesforce, CRM, quote, lets you store and manage prospect and customer information like contact, accounts, leads, sales opportunities in one central location. Okay? You'll discover that it's not just a fancy contact list. Actually, CRM ultimately is a solution. It's absolutely a game-changing piece of software. It's technology that's being used by every industry out there. Okay? Retail, manufacturing, bless you. Retail, manufacturing, real estate, construction. Many, many more people use CRM. CRM is that thing that people talk about where you take a contact and fill out the fields And in those fields now, you're starting to grow a collection of a digital contact list, but it's so much more. The point I'm trying to make is it's so widely used, there has to be a reason for it. Part of it is its efficiency. Cloud technology and its efficiency. Again, I was in IT for many years, so that's something I can speak of. I moved many servers to the cloud. And part of what the CRM that makes it so powerful is just the fact, of course, that you can get to it from anywhere, right? Any device, anywhere, you're on your CRM, right? When you're winning President's Club and you're in Barbados, you can get on your CRM and look up anything you want, just as if you're in the office at home. So that's actually a killer thing on its own. But one thing I want to impress about you in CRM is that it's only really as good as what you put into it, okay? So if you use a CRM or you use any kind of a digital way to keep contacts and you're filling out fields, I'll bet you that if you look hard enough at the program that you're using, that you're not utilizing it to its full extent. I'll bet no one here is absolutely utilizing it to its full extent.
I've been using that for the past 30 years.
Which one are you using?
Okay,
With
so it's
CRM?
not- Yeah, but it's not on the computer. But that's what I've been using for the past 30 years. And I do it exactly the same way as anybody else would do on the computer.
Okay, so let me ask you one quick question.
Yeah, I know.
30 years ago, there wasn't that many CRMs out there.
No,
No.
I created one.
Okay, you
I
create,
have one that's manual, okay?
so
and
it's on paper.
It works fine for me.
it's manual, it's on paper.
Yeah.
So you're manual on paper and you have a CRM that you think is great because it's a customer relations management. I'd like you to bring me a list in 5 minutes of the 400 people that live at an address that begins with the number 1. Please bring it to me now. Well, hold on, let me just pull mine up. There you go. You're on paper, man. Let me finish.
Okay, all right, you know what, I'm opening up to say this is what I do.
Right, I just want to
I
mention one.
know that technology is a much better way to
It's
go.
efficient. It's someone else thinking for you.
And then maybe I'll hire someone who's 30 years old who can do it.
No. Hold on. Let me cut that crap out right now. Hold on. It's not about, if you wrote out or typed out that one field, what's stopping you from using it? Are you scared to log in only? If you log into something and the first screen that comes up is a fresh contact that had certain fields with 1 or 2 fields that say, make up your own. Let me finish with that. Make up your own field. Make up your own type of what you want to see as an input amount. So for example, if you wanted to put down about someone where they live, okay, their personality. I speak to somebody and I say to them, let me ask you about your house. And they start telling me about the code color for their brick, the color. I know that that person's anal. If I speak to someone else and they don't want any detail at all, that person's more simple. It's something I absolutely would add to my CRM so I can sort it. And I'll tell you where I'm going with it real quick. Just as I dived in the last comment about CRM, there's a very special code term that's been around forever. It's called garbage in, garbage out. Anybody ever heard of garbage in, garbage out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't look at me.
It's fine. Garbage in, garbage out typically means this. If you have fields in a CRM that you want to fill out, and you make a mistake on one of those fields, then you're really not going to be able to do a sort. What we're getting to is creating campaigns that work automatically for themselves so you don't have to work at all. If you can create a campaign because it's St. Patrick's Day on everybody that's got a green garage, how long would it take you to look that up? But if you in the field that you created your own custom field about garage color, custom field about person's personality, custom field that says about they dress impeccably. Whenever you go to sort anything out, whether it's just visual or whether it's by a report you're gonna print out or whether it's like, hey, CRM, send this email that I just typed up to only everybody in my, that is color green garage, in that minute, I could do a St. Patrick's Day campaign like it's nothing. And I can automate it. That's something you really gotta look at because of time constraints in our industry. If you can do that and have campaigns going and you automatically do that for the next 6 months, you can spend all that other time on something else. Okay, does that all make sense to you guys about CRM? Yeah, any questions about it? The primary takeaway is you need to use it to be more efficient, to duplicate yourself, to save yourself time, and to get out there quickly and fast. It's the absolute only way. Without it, you won't. It's a game changer. Keep your data clean. Don't expect miracles. If you put in things wrong and by mistake, You didn't put that that garage in that field was green, but by mistake you put Yagreed. So it was Y-R-E-N. It won't come up when you go to do the campaign. That's garbage in, garbage out. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a business and looked at their database and said, you need to start from scratch. It would just take too much time to even try to make this thing in any way, shape, or form efficient and accurate. We need accuracy. So that's why the CRM is amazing, okay? Because it can give you, if entered right, clean data, and you can get very quick results when you're doing search queries, and it also can help you keep up with your everyday prospecting. It'll tell you who you haven't called in how long. Have it open while you're working. CRM is incredible. And in relation to that, we're talking about trackers. Trackers, right? So it fits in with CRM and all that talk about doing things more efficiently. Everybody knows tracking. As a matter of fact, I could say everybody knows tracking, even if they're just doing it on paper, right? Everybody usually starts off by tracking just on paper. Oh, really? I got a flag right there. We started at 10 after. Okay. So when you're talking about that and you're looking at sources such as the agents or the clients, where one field could be just where you heard of the person. I heard of them here. I got the card from there. That could be a source. With proper tracking and fields being filled out correctly, you can start campaigns easily. Looking at sources such as types of personalities I mentioned, right? When they're going to be ready to sell, simple things, right? It's almost endless, really. It depends on the software, your creativity. If you're smarter than the other person and think you can create a better campaign, you will do better. If you can reach people faster, cleaner, in your campaign you include an infographic, for example, that might be pretty impactful. Maybe a different campaign that will run at a different time will absolutely produce a different result. You could test campaigns through your CRM and see how they might be. Finding people looking for a certain market, other requirements are all easy to sort in the CRM. Listings or finding buyers' properties are easier. Things are faster and more efficient, especially when you're looking back at old history, not just new stuff. Who have I not spoken to in 1 year? Oh, the list is there. Great, then you can work for me when we're done here. But the idea is that I'm still keeping my CRM, no offense. I'm not getting rid of it. I couldn't live without it. I couldn't live without it. So the idea is that if you use it, it'll make a lot of it's important. We talked about prospecting and stuff like that, okay? We talked about trackers. Remember, have fun with it, okay? Have fun with it. Try to create new things. Remember, as we're talking now, that many objections out there are strictly based on a lack of knowledge. So we want to get through that door. We need to follow up, follow up, follow up. Remember, I'm not an agent, I'm not a broker. I'm telling you things that people have told me, including dozens and dozens of agents that have been in the business for 20 or 30 years. For people and customers who have been around agents for 20 or 30 years, follow up, follow up. If you don't follow up, you'll fall down. Don't assume anything. Ask questions on anything you're doing. An example of don't assume anything is, an agent once told me that they needed the square footage for a house, they wanted to get the listing up right away. They trusted the person, they knew the person forever. Said to the person, yeah, I gotta get the listing up, what's the square foot? It's 764 square feet, exactly, that's my condo. My house, it's 1,322 square feet. Wow, what an exact number, man. Yeah, I'm reading it right here. It's exactly, okay, great. They trusted the person, they took that as a word of advice. They knew they were gonna get the paper from them after. They were gonna go look for a floor plan after, speak to the builder after. But meanwhile, they wanted a broker load, so they did. They got it up there. When they found out a couple of days later what the square footage was, it was off by quite a bit because the person included a partially finished basement. Oh, I know, it's exactly 764, right? But it has nothing to do with that part. You need to absolutely not assume anything. You need to see it up front. Keep that in mind on all the documents that you're doing because otherwise mistakes are happening. Problem with that one is once the impact was pulled and they found out it was wrong, the information had already been out there. And with the internet, when you post a mistake, it's so hard to get that mistake to come, just like disappear. It just almost doesn't happen. So almost could have been legal ramifications of that. But it was enough square footage that it actually mattered. And it was just a partially finished basement that actually killed the whole thing. So even though you may trust the person and you think the information is right, don't take anybody's word for it, right? And if we're talking about coming prepared after qualifying someone. How well did you qualify people in your qualification background? Are you scared to ask someone a question because you feel that it might lead to where the person won't want to speak to you again? They think you're too pushy. They think you're bossy, you don't understand them. How good is your listing presentations? What tools do you bring? We talked about it way earlier, right? What do you bring? Comps and a letter that shows my family loves me? You know, what do you talk about? Do you only show about a referral? Try to think, again, there's a lot of workshops out there that can help you talk about it, but your pre-qualification, your listing is so important, but so is also creating a package for someone that you want to buy a home from you. Is your info updated? Do you update it? Is it timely? Does it include any infographics? These are things that we're talking about being prepared. When you come to the listing appointment, you only got one kick at the can. You got to make it really, really important. Don't just come with a folder with CMAs. Others are doing more than that already. And partially it's because of online brokerages, but you got to really try to keep your head in the game and be better than other people. Think about your listing presentations and your workshops. Remember to always under promise and over deliver, especially when it comes to obviously putting the price of the house. Don't just take anything. Don't say, oh, I can bring the world, I can bring the moon to you. If you cannot do it, don't say it just to get the listing, because absolutely you're going to fall down. And bad news spreads so much faster than good news. And you want to keep your reputation intact, and it goes on and on. Under promise, over deliver. And I'll tell you one thing about under promising: people take bad news better up front. People always take bad news better up front. If you're very realistic with them and you say it in a realistic way, they're really going to get it, okay? The truth about the listing appointment is it's not even yours. I got a listing appointment, you know, I'm going to go see my listing appointment. I got my listing presentation. It's not yours, man, it's theirs. It's theirs until you get it. So the whole concept is 2 ears, one mouth, right? It's not your listing. Ask pointed questions to the people. Stay on topic even if they don't. Stay in control. Confirm. Ask to see docs that people have before you need it. Ask to see if they can show it to you. Ask them for the listing. Don't be shy when asking for the listing. Maybe do it in your pre-qualification. I'm going to show you one quick example right now. This is from a guy, his name is Jeff Glover. This guy is killer at talking to people. He's a real estate listing guru, okay? And he would never go, doesn't mean you guys don't have to, but he would never go to a client unless he already knew during the pre-qualification if he was almost going to get that job. Pretty hard thing to do, right? But this is one thing he does, and that's why I want to give credit for him and I want to share it with you. He says, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Solomon. We're on the phone, we're talking, we got that far. I'm all up to date with your case. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do your job. I want to ask you, if I'm there and I show you that I have everything you need and you're very comfortable with me and you see in me something that you like, how do you feel about putting me to work today? How do you feel about putting me to work? Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm all up to date with everything. I've read your file. I'm right into it. I'm rocking. If you were comfortable when you see me tonight, how do you feel about putting me to work? Would you put me to work today? They're either going to say no, but it's not going to be like you're insulting them. Try to come up with something that makes someone feel comfortable and safe. And when you ask them, again, I want to credit Jeff Glover for that comment. He has an amazing way, and sort of other people, of course, of asking really tough questions in a soft way that doesn't make someone feel uncomfortable. Hey, it actually makes them feel comfortable. That's something to think about. I'm not an expert, but I would want to tell you there's 100 courses on how to do that. Anything that's going to be used in detail or in public, ask for the listing. Don't be shy, guys. Ask for it. Because I've heard a lot of agents go to ask for the listing and they said, sorry, I just listed with somebody else. And the only reason might have been they asked it before you did. Don't be shy. Get other necessary documentation from the client as quick as possible. They sign up, they're ready to go. Couldn't have a better day, right? Anything that is going to be used in detail or in public, get to see the docs as soon as you can. Some agents wait for a few days. I've had agents that want it that night. I can tell you right now that I've said to an agent, and I'm really meticulous. We've worked together a couple of times. I usually have all my stuff together from the first day I met him. But from when I say I got it for you till you have it in your hand, many a slip between the cup and the lip. Well, I thought I had it. I'm sure it was there. I just saw it last week. The dog ate it. Oh, actually, the dog didn't eat it. That was my homework. You get the idea. There's always an excuse when it comes time for the right paperwork, okay? Sources for market info, news reports, speakers, forecasters, podcasts. Listen to what people hear, not just what professionals tell you. Okay, that's important. So we're talking right now about the market news, right? How can you talk about market if you're wrong? You're going to be asked a lot of times to talk about the market. So if you go and talk about the market and you end up saying something that isn't accurate, you were just proven wrong. You don't want to be proven wrong, right? So if you don't talk about the market, you won't be proven wrong, but you can talk about the market in general ways. It's not wrong to talk about it, but it's wrong if you actually try to pin yourself into a point. It may make your market analysis look wrong yourself when you speak to other agents. So remember, it's hard for people, especially right now, to understand about prices because they're dropped and they're already still dropping. And in that, it's a new reality for people, especially in Richmond Hill. Listen to other sources of what people are saying about news so that you can get in their head. So if all you ever listen to about the market is professionals who know exactly where the market's going, you guys will be accurate, you'll be right on, but you won't know what the client is thinking because they're hearing the other garbage that's either on 1010 or they're hearing the world is falling apart, the clouds coming down, 46% drop. Oh my God, my house went from $1 million to $460,000. It's not even like any of that math at all. You need to hear some of the garbage so that you can be able to handle an objection from someone who heard it as well. So it's very important to remember to listen to other kinds of news things. Stats can be manipulated. Question all your sources. I'll give you a real quick example and then we're gonna keep going here. We're getting near the end. In Northern Ontario in 1904, there was only 2 cars because it was 1904 and it was Northern Ontario. And they had one road and that one road led into town, right? These 2 cars decided on the same day, Saturday, that they were going to go into town. But there's only one road, but they came from different directions. So both these guys or women, I wasn't there, it's 1904, got in their car, started it up, started heading into town. One guy was looking at a tree, one guy was looking at a bird. Bang. They actually bumped into each other because there was only one road. The statistic in 1904 was that 100% of motor vehicles were involved in an accident in Northern Ontario. Think about that statistic. 100% of motor vehicles were involved in an accident in 1904. 100%. That statistic is the same as we twist and manipulate statistics. The funniest thing about that is that statistic has been so manipulated that it still stands today. Until today, there's never been a time in Northern Ontario that 100% of motor vehicle accidents were involved, right? So my point about that is you have to question sources. It's very, very important to question the sources. When you're hearing about statistics, think about the 2 cars in 1904, and you'll understand that 100% of motor vehicles really don't get in accidents. Giving perspective to clients or doing a CMA is very, very difficult. 10 agents will go in, and people in the 10 different CMAs will come out of that, right? And it's very hard because when the client doesn't understand it, they don't get why the differences CMAs are so different. Can anybody give me a quick example of why CMAs are so different?
Yeah, because when we compare subjective comparators, each of us has its own value for something that there isn't one and is not
So you're...
the subject problem
Yeah,
that has a swimming pool.
It's twisted. That's a good one. Or a very large bedroom.
Yeah.
So, right, example. So, yeah, so the reason why is because each agent can come in and pick a very specific, unique part of that house and just twist it up. One agent will come in and say the house, oh, you have a pool in the back? That's great. People love a pool. Oh, don't get a pool. It's a nightmare. Nobody wants a pool. That bedroom is huge. Everybody loves a large master bedroom. They feel luxurious. Ooh, the master bedroom is so big, it takes away from the layout of the rest of the house. I can make it a plus, I can make it a minus. Give me any house and I'll turn it into a plus or a minus, no problem. When agents do that, it's very, very confusing for a client. If they speak to a couple of agents, it ends up that they only take the guy who gives the bigger number, which usually leads to a lot of trouble, as you know. So that is why it's so important to really take your CMAs and understand that the person is hearing other people saying a bunch of other things about it. So there's a reason why bottle X becomes one price and then the same bottle becomes a different price. Okay, it's the way people interpret the house. So speak to the person's personality and you'll win that one for sure. So market data does not necessarily reflect the market's reality. Example, right, was really one offers high, one offers low. Someone thinks you can get more, someone thinks you can get less. For sure, it's about the way the people or the person views those comps. It's the way you distribute those comps to those people. Everything's relative. So we're gonna do a draw very shortly in 5 minutes, okay, guys? And it's gonna be just paying attention to the last little bit. So selling in a buyer's market now, or buying in a seller's market, right? All this stuff here is quick touch points only on this right now. There could be a workshop on it alone. Selling in a buyer's market means that the listing and the showing has to be nailed the first time. You don't have a choice. The attention to detail is crucial. Great communication between yourself and the client is a must. When you're working in a seller's market, it's about product knowledge and understanding that there needs to be a compromise with your client. If you're going around and your client does not have a compromise or not willing to go more on money, then there's going to be a problem when they're doing that in a seller's market. The actual thing that works the most is tell them to go find more money. So selling or buying in the same market, it's all relative, but remember one point, when there's a 5% decrease, there's going to be a 5% decrease across the board. When you're selling it and you hurt by 5, you do better when you buy by 5. So the only thing that's going to mess that up is going to be timing. If someone buys it one time and then they think that they're going to be able to get it 3-6 months later, it ain't going to happen. You got to keep up with the person at the right time. Inform them, because you're not moving fast enough. The market may change and this may happen to you. Follow up with showing agents always. Okay. Help the client prepare the house. Do the walkthroughs once as if you're the buyer, and then walk through again. Invest the time. Do not make quick assertion to the person. If you make and assert that this is what's going to happen and it doesn't, it looks bad. Take time, make them feel that you're invested in it. Okay. I know it's hard to do that, but it's very important to show someone that you guys care. Keep the client updated. Phone calls, oy vey, they're the worst, right? We're almost there.
No, I'm just gonna, the link broke down, so.
Oh, good. So I'm on my, okay, so now we can really talk freely. So phone calls are often. I know people bug you all the time, but be them and wear a mask, because selling is very emotional and you have to reassure the client isn't ending. If you gave them some of the tools that we talked about earlier on, you have a much better chance that they won't call you as much. So we're talking about responding quickly to messages. It's one of the main reasons, and the biggest complaint of an agent is, I understand about a work-life balance, but the one point I want to make is this is where it counts the most. When someone gets a quickly returned message, their fear goes down. It's very important. So try to do that even though it greatly affects your life. Take note and show people through their homes on their schedule, not yours. There's 2 schools of thought to it. Some people believe you should only be doing it on your schedule, and some people believe you need to do it on the schedule of the client. What I believe is that you need to do it on your schedule and only do it on the schedule of the client when it's not affecting you too much or them too much. You can only say to somebody so many times in a row, I'm late, I can't do it that day. I can't see you that day. So I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's an opinion of where if you're with somebody and you cancel more than a few times, you really got to make sure the next time you go on their schedule. If you've made it 3 times in a row with them on their schedule, and today's just the day you can't do it, that day you get to go on your schedule. I absolutely believe it's a compromise of the both. So when hosting to get people in, if you're hosting a night, you want people to sign in, it's very important. Of course, we talked about CRM and getting all that, but I just want to mention that I've been to a couple of places where I go to speak to people, and they ask me if I'm repped or not, and if I'm repped, they absolutely ignore me. They treat me way worse. It's obvious. They truly give me a cold shoulder. Yeah, I get that you can't rep them. I get you're not allowed to solicit them for business. I get that you now should be speaking only to their agent. But I'll tell you one thing for sure, that person, they might be done with their agent. They might be almost done with the agent. They may never use them again. They might be about to cancel their listing with them. You can't solicit them, but if you're a real decent person to them and you don't treat them wrong, everybody can be a potential client later in the day at one time. One time down the road, they may be your client, okay? Number one thing with working that listing, picked up by everybody, do not overprice.